Perfect.
And yes.
Is that you? Where are you going? Is that you moving there?
Bearsden.
Is that where you moving to Bearsden, are you? Nice. Is that flat?
Beautiful. Beautiful place.
It's lovely. Is it brand new? In the
Across the road, across the
That's
road.
good.
Yeah. Up part it's about 20 yards.
Is it brand new build, aye?
No.
Renovation?
No, it's just been done.
Yeah.
About a few years. And a good June.
Welcome to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show, keeping you up to date for the next 4 hours and all the football across 3 divisions in Scotland. Of course, it's an international break. We'll keep you up to date with Championship, League One and League Two today. All in the company of our top panellists, Alan Ruff, Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny, joining us here on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow. So much to look forward to over the next 4 hours. It's an Easter weekend. It's a weekend where if you're not going to a big match, then sit back, get a cuppa, a wee biscuit and enjoy the chat here and the opinion. And every now and then, if you want to interact with us, you can at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, as well as peterandruffy.com. So the lads are here. There's an international break for the Premiership. We will discuss some of the key elements of the Premiership, which will be up for debate over the next few weeks as we count down to titles being handed out. And of course, Managers of the Year, Player of the Year as well should be one you might want to get involved in. So, Ruffy, it was a win for Scotland, and that's the most important factor as we now look towards Denmark.
Yeah, certainly when you're building up for a campaign, you want to have a win. You know, obviously you can take things out of the game. You know, as far as Gordon Strachan's concerned, he'll be looking to see if there's any players that were worthy of his selection. I think the boy McCormick did okay. Kenny McLean went in and didn't look out of place. So these will be 2 guys he'll be looking at. But I still don't think that there was anybody in that game who's going to jump out and start in the big game when the campaign starts.
Well, let me counter that, Gordon Smith, by suggesting that far be it from... because I don't know if you can remember Alan Ruff's first international cap. Can you remember it?
No.
Exactly. And that's my point on this.
But I do disagree with Ruffy in respect that he's saying I don't think any of these players will be involved. I think they certainly could be.
No, I mean the new ones. I mean the old ones will be there. You know, the Huttons and them and there. Fletcher will be there. Snodgrass will be there. I'm talking about the new guys coming in.
You don't see any of
who's
them.
the new ones though?
Well,
and
I
that
would
team,
say,
who's the new ones in that team?
McCormick, McLean, who played the other night. Ikichiani will be in it. You know, he's a regular. I don't think anybody, like the boy McLean, I don't think has forced himself into a starting lineup.
No,
Scotland jersey.
I still think there'll be 7 or 8 of that team will be considered and could be in the team. And I disagree with you with McCormick because I'll tell you why. I thought it was wrong for him to leave him out in the first place. I said right away when the squad was picked that McCormick should have been in it. And I still feel sorry yet that Jordan Rhodes isn't getting included. You know what I mean? They should both be in contention, and McCormick seemingly did well enough to show what he's capable of getting a game. I mean, not only did he get brought in the squad, he started the match. So I think he'll come into contention.
Well, Denmark will offer us maybe a look at Lee Griffiths to see what level he's at.
Well, yeah, it's a lot of people say you can't do that step up here, but until you play them, you'll never know. And Gordon, he's different from what Gordon usually goes with because he's lively. He puts himself about up front and he sits on the shoulder of defenders, which is something, you know, Gordon's not really went for.
Yeah. Do you agree with Ruffy? 2 or 3 of these players won't be.
I don't know. It's not. I think the best look the other night, the best thing for me was to see Snodgrass coming back into the fold because I think he's a player and I think Scotland miss him when he's not playing. Yeah.
So if you're saying they're going to go with the old guard, that old guard wasn't good enough to get us to the European Championships, Ruffy.
Yeah, well, I would think. I'll test us all to write down who they think will be the first game, the first 11 players. Write down the 11 players who you think will start the campaign.
Yeah.
And I bet you we're all about the same 9 players that will be in the 11.
Well, that's
It's
good.
still not good enough.
It's a great way to start this programme. Everybody arguing, disagreeing with each other. Wait till we get to the top 10 greatest footballers of all time, because Cruyff is in there. But what number is he in at? You can join us after the break, because we'll be going to Ibrox, because there's another step towards the championship title for Rangers on the way.
Well, right, you're 11 starting.
No.
Well, 11
I don't
starting
even
first.
know. I don't-
Celtic game coming up, and I'm sure every Rangers player will want to be in that game. So they'll have to try and impress the manager that they're the ones that should start it. They've also got the Petrofac Cup coming up as well. You know, it's another final. And if you're a player, you'll want to be in top form, and you'll want to make sure that the manager picks you for these 2 games.
Yeah, we'll be going to Ibrox shortly to Des McKeown. Prior to the break, Ruffy, we were talking about Scotland because we're obviously going to look towards the game against Denmark, where he will tinker with the side once more. But you suggested to us that of the players that have been selected in the 2 different squads, that there's going to be quite a few of the old guard. Right,
Yeah.
so I'm going to suggest to you now, and I'm suggesting the goalkeeper because I think he'll be number 1. McGregor, Hutton, Martin, Mulgrew and Robertson. And 5 across the middle will be Phillips, Brown, Fletcher, Snodgrass and Anya. And McCormack, I'm just throwing his name up because, quite simply, he's got a good goal-scoring record, and I can't even offer anything other than it's a choice between McCormack or Griffiths. I could throw a dart and pick one of them because Fletcher's goal-scoring track record is not good, and he's going to have to change it to get his goals. He needs to get goals from somewhere. I don't know where he's getting them from.
Yeah, I think Fletcher's a good player, but I think when you're playing that sort of system, you want to have somebody who also is a regular goal scorer, and I think Griffiths has come into contention for that position. A man who's, we've mentioned already, not been picked is Jordan Rhodes, comes into contention. His goal scoring record's tremendous. And McCormack fitted in very well the other night. I mean, he got pulled into the squad and he fitted in. So I think he was there. I'm close to it in terms of the squad. The team you've just picked, Peter, there's not many that I would disagree with you on. I think that I maybe would have like some Morrison and MacArthur for me come into contention places too. You know what I mean? They're players who are still of a good age to play. And I think the problem position for me is Scott Brown if he's 100% fit, because a lot of people do feel he's not been quite at his best. But if he's 100% fit, Scott Brown starts. Do you know what I mean? If he's okay.
I have Brown alongside
Yes.
Fletcher and
You do.
Snodgrass.
Yeah, I think that's right.
What was that now, the old school?
Well, that's midfield. We've never had a problem with midfield, Robbie. Our problem is there's 2 central defenders. Possibly, I think a lot of people will look and say our problem is we've lost goals, so that suggests something at the back end, and we can't score goals, so we can't find a striker.
Yeah.
What been playing? I mean, I don't know why he doesn't play Mulgrew at centre half. I mean,
I've got Mulgrew in at centre half.
because they're playing with Martin and Berra, and that just
I agreed with
they're
that.
leaking. I think Mulgrew, and it takes him out of midfield position. But I think you should play him there. Because he got played a year at Celtic. He was playing all season, centre half, one played a year, and then they put him in midfield the following season.
But again,
there's not a lot of competition.
If it's not broke, why did he change it? It's just I don't understand that.
Yeah, I think he'll come back. You've got to be fair to Mulgrew. He's been out with an injury.
Yes, I think he's better at centre half.
No, I agree. I thought Martin and Mulgrew, and the big one. I mean, Ruffy might argue that number 1 as well, McGregor. You're going to think Marshall.
I would take Marshall.
Why, on the basis of that one game the other night?
I think, no, on the basis of what he does for Hull and what he's done before, I think McGregor's the better keeper.
What's Marshall done that's...
I never said he'd done anything wrong.
I don't think he's had a bad game in a
No,
Scotland
absolutely
jersey.
not. And by the way, remember, we're picking teams based on your gut feeling of what you see yourself. Gordon, you've got to understand, you've got to then look at it and say to yourself, what does a manager like Gordon Strachan think? If you've got an insight into Gordon Strachan, if you want me to pick a team based on the way Gordon Strachan operates, I'll give you one word: loyalty. So Marshall will be in there.
I know.
Yeah.
But I suggest out of the 3 of them, I think McGregor's the better goalkeeper. I don't know if you agree with me, Rocky. You're a keeper.
No, I don't. No, I would go for Marshall. I think Marshall's matured. He's going to be a £10 million goalie. I think Everton are going to go for him. I think he's going to get right into the Premiership. I think he's going to just get better and better. I'm not saying Alan McGregor isn't. Any of the 3 of them would be good enough to go in. But I just think Marshall is he's got the number 1 jersey. He's never let us down. He had some tremendous saves against Poland to keep us in the game. He's doing well at club level. I just think he'll be there.
Well, I'm bowing to your superior knowledge because you were a top-class goalkeeper. What about... Wait a minute, there's no guy coming. Why are you looking at me as if you think I'm going to cane you? You're a top-class goalkeeper. So I'll bow to you on that on the basis that you think it'll be Marshall.
So we're all agreeing with the fullbacks. Gordon's a wee bit anxious about Hutton.
Yeah, I think Hutton, he's got 50 caps now, but I think he's never been the best defensive fullback. I think that's
Give
a
me
problem.
another one.
It's difficult to find another one. Whittaker's probably his competition for a spot there, isn't it? It's like, you know, that we are. I think, and defensively we have struggled, and I think that's maybe why we're not in France this summer.
Yes.
Because we've not had the defence. I mean, I know we've had problems scoring as well, but if you're tight games, that's why the other night was actually quite interesting. The fact we didn't lose a goal, so that was good. With a tighter defence, but you can't say whether. I don't think the Czech Republic were at full strength the other night, were they?
So is that your team then? Is that your team?
That's the kind of team I've picked here. The only one I haven't got MD in for right back. I've just got. I think probably Hutton will get the
So
role.
who have you got in midfield?
I've got Brown and Morrison in
and
there.
MacArthur.
And
I would agree with you
just off.
100%. That'll be the 5.
Yeah.
The other
Fletcher.
one I would throw.
No Fletcher. No Darren Fletcher.
No, I think you're looking for
No.
legs.
He's been outstanding for West Brom.
I think you're looking for legs. I think you're looking for movement with Morrison getting forward. And
And Brown comes back. He'll be the
the
experience.
only other one. The only one about.
Smith.
No.
The only
There's
other
another one we've forgotten.
I think
Stephen
they'll-
Naismith.
But there's another
I
one
think
we
they'll play
forgot.
4-4-2 and place Naismith in behind the McCormick, I feel like.
There's
That's
another
what I
one we've
think
left
they'll
out
play.
as well. Is a wee boy Richie.
Yeah.
I thought
very
the
good
wee
He was
boy-
in,
I
he
thought
was
the
in
wee boy
Dieter's
Richie.
team. Was he not? Was he not in your team?
No, I didn't have him in
was,
there, but
but
that's
he
a good
dropped.
point.
He
Richie's
dropped.
another one.
Yeah, Richie comes in.
Hold
I think Anya.
Hold on, I'll phone a catchy.
No, I think
Anya's a certainty.
Anya
Yeah.
and Snodgrass.
He loves him playing in that.
But they're ahead of
Break.
Anya and Snodgrass, from my
So I've
opinion.
got- I've
I'd be
got
ahead
Brown.
of Richie.
I've got Brown and
Yeah.
MacArthur. I've got MacArthur in beside
Listen,
Brown.
if we could, I hasten to add, and I apologise to each and every young person out there, but if we had a Gordon McQueen and a Jim Holton, I'd be delighted.
Oh, I'd be
But we
delighted,
don't
yeah,
have
we
any.
don't
We
have
don't even have a Richard Gough. If we had a Richard Gough, I'd be absolutely over
I
the
think
moon.
you said something about loyalty with Gordon, but you know you've got to see loyalty goes out the window now. We failed, so that campaign's gone now. He's got to forget about the loyalty and go for a decent team, you know, and the boys that are in form, boys that are playing at the top of their trade every week.
Yeah.
You know, what I mean, he
wasn't a
stuck
bit-
with Sutton,
Hutton.
when he wasn't even playing.
Yeah.
And
Maybe it wasn't a bad idea
no.
from Frank. For the fact is that he's picked 2 squads for the 2 games. I think there's only 4 players are in both, right?
Yeah.
But he's given other people a chance now against Denmark to say, okay, these guys have done it. And the thing is, it's more pressure on the ones now playing against Denmark on Tuesday, because all of a sudden the squad that played Thursday night have had a win away from home against the Czech Republic. So the squad on Tuesday then have to perform.
I have to say to you, and I think Ruffy tried yesterday to do. It's a classic. I think it's a classic Scottish line. I think Ruffy tried to do me in with a line that he said that I suggested that these were meaningless. These are not meaningless friendlies. These are friendlies where Gordon gets a little insight into whether somebody can make that step up again.
Yes.
What I think is the great unknown, the imponderable, is quite simply when you get to a new season with players who have moved to certain clubs and who start the season well, suddenly these 4 friendlies are not so much forgotten, but they go on the back burner because Gordon starts to look at it with another set of eyes. He starts to look and say to himself, well, wait a minute, Lee Wallace is now playing for Rangers in the Premier League. He may well have an Old Firm game under his belt before he gets to a qualifier. He might come into contention. Suddenly he'll look and he'll say to himself, well, wait a minute, Stephen Whittaker's dropped down to the Championship now. You know, there's lots of other things that come in, permutations that can cloud his view on things.
I think one of the downsides as well is from a year or 2 ago, most of our players in the Championship now.
Yeah, unfortunately.
They're not on the top. I mean, there are 3 or 4 of them, but the majority are in a lower league now. Whether that means anything.
That's what I don't understand about MacArthur. He's playing at Crystal Palace.
I know.
You know,
Top league.
Top
High
league.
up. I think the other
Playing
thing.
well.
That's a good point,
The
Mark.
other thing, Peter,
You've got to say you're playing against the better players every week, so you've got to give them a chance.
You should be considered. The other thing I've got to say about these games, and not using the word meaningless as such, but we need to realise that all the teams we're playing just now are all in the Championships, right? Czech Republic, Denmark, I think we've got Italy and France, right? Now they're all there. Are they necessarily going to be playing the way they're going to play in the Championships? The players are going to play, because you know why? The thing is, I would say to you, and I'm sure you all agree this, they know they'll be getting watched in these games by the other teams that are in their group.
Yeah, I know.
They'll be sending, you know what I mean? So the Czech Republic on Thursday night would have people who are in their group for France going, let's go and watch them. So they're not going to give away how they're going to play, are they?
No.
Yeah,
not at
well,
all.
and I'll be perfectly honest with you. I think that's the first thing that even Gordon Strachan would concede. Prior to the game kicking off, the Czech Republic admitted that they were going to have an experimental side out as well. So that's fine. That's my point,
They'll all
Ruffy.
be
It's not
doing that.
necessarily all.
Friendlies, if you play one and you win it, you milk it a wee bit, you talk it up. If we lose against Denmark, he'll put another slant on it. He'll put another slant on it, just about seeing players.
Yeah.
As long as we keep it at that level and we don't get carried away, that's a good thing.
Okay, the Scotland argument will rage on. So we managed to come up with at least a starting 11. You might disagree with that. You can give us your view on that. At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. So, Championship today, we mentioned a couple of games. We'll be bringing you the Rangers team shortly. We're going to go to Falkirk because, of course, if it's a shoo-in that Rangers are going to win the Championship title, second place is certainly intriguing, and Craig Turnbull is there to watch Peter Houston's side try and create a bigger gap, Craig, between themselves and Hibernian.
Yeah, Houston said he could smell blood in that terrific comeback against Rangers last week. He's now going for the jugular against Livingston. They can stretch their lead over Hibs in third place to 9 points. Having said that, Hibs do have 3 games in hand. Well, there's a real sense of belief around Falkirk that they can finish second, and that is due to the fact that they're unbeaten in their last 7 games, and they've made Falkirk Stadium a real fortress this season. Just 1 defeat at home, and that was to Hibs. Well, meanwhile, Livingston are looking to complete another great escape. This time last season they were bottom of the table, but after a terrific run of form in the run-in, they finished 8th. They've just had 1 loss in their last 4 games under David Hopkin. An unlikely win today would mean they'd just be 2 points behind 8th place Dumbarton. So a real good game. Looking forward to this one, Peter. It's Falkirk versus Livingston.
Yep, and that stat there just tells you how difficult it is for any team, Ruffy, to try and get a result at the Falkirk Stadium.
Yeah, they've been very impressive, and that's what happens when you go on a wee win and run. You get the confidence that you're not going to lose games, and that's what they've done. And I think anybody now going to Falkirk will know that they're going to be in a game right until the end, and that's why they're there, and that's why the success is that they've got.
Yeah, I hate to throw this curveball at you, Ruffy, but obviously I'm going to get Gordon and Macca in on this. Based on the fact that Star Wars has taken in the biggest amount of money, it's been really the #1 box office movie. Should they have won an Oscar, any of the actors in that movie? I'm just asking you, just because you can see the second question's coming shortly. Should they have had at least one person in there for an Oscar?
Not for me, no.
No.
It's not an acting movie. It's an action movie.
Yeah.
It's Chewbacca.
Yeah. so no.
Not for me, no. It's not.
Okay, so really at the end of the day, that now brings me nicely to the curveball and then the left hook. Peter Houston, he's got no chance of a championship manager of the year. It's just straight to Mark Warburton, surely.
Yeah, I'm a wee bit anxious of when we vote for these things. I would like it to be a done and dusted vote.
Well, why are you anxious? Because you just think anybody who wins the title should be handed the award.
I think the Rangers manager should get it. I think that they've played a good brand of football this year. I think he's brought in players that have been added a wee bit to the championship. Again, you can't take anything away from Falkirk, but for me, winning the league is what it's all about.
And can I ask you, Gordon Smith?
I think they take away. I would always say that they should take into account resources that people have. If somebody achieves better than is expected, that for me should be the situation. It's like Ronnie Dyler this year could win the double now. I don't think he's manager of the year. Do you know what I mean? So it's the same way. I think.
Not?
Because why not? And I don't think Mark Warburton should be manager of the year if he wins a league, because he's got better resources than the other teams have got. Falkirk haven't even got the resources that Hibernian have got, so you have to say for them to be higher up than the likes of Hibs, I think they've been tremendous.
Is Peter Houston potentially manager of the championship manager?
I think he should come into contention. Yeah, definitely.
What happens if he doesn't get promoted? So you just give him it because he's on a good run?
Well, if he doesn't get promoted, they've obviously been beaten by maybe a Premier League side to not to get promoted. They could be beaten by Kilmarnock or something like that.
Yeah.
So you're saying they're playing.
Jim McIntyre's the manager for me this year.
Of the year.
Of the year.
Yeah. Macca, are you arguing with that?
No, he's up there. He's done the Highlands proud, really, hasn't he? He's been up there and changed them round, and yeah, they're playing attractive football. So I can't argue with that. But I don't think Peter will get the championship. You know, if they don't get promoted, that's the biggest problem. It's when the vote is, because if you vote for them now and they don't get promoted, you look stupid, really.
The other thing as well, which I'm going to contradict myself, because on the basis of what Gordon's saying is Ross County have got good resources, better resources than other clubs of their level. So does that mean that I shouldn't give it to him? Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Because the owner has got money, they've spent, the players are on better wages, and Partick Thistle are on better wages than most of the clubs. So it's a hard one to get your head around what you actually are giving these managers it for.
Yeah, and just on that bit, you're looking a little bit. I mean, Gordon and Roffey have started. They've come out of the traps flying today,
I don't
Macca,
know.
but you look sluggish. It's as if you've been eting too many burgers. I'm not happy with you. Your preparation's not been good, Macca. It's as simple as that.
No, I'm just quite happy with Jim McIntyre. I think McIntyre, he's been, you know, they've been up there, and let's be honest, he's done a magnificent job up there, and to win the trophy, and you know, especially it must have been hard because there were only 2 Highland teams come up, and Inverness won a trophy last year, and then what
about if Mixu escapes relegation?
No chance.
Okay, the programme has now descended into a farce. I apologise for that line from Peter.
I need to throw another one in, but and it's true, if he did this, I think Alan Stubbs, if Hibs get promotion right through the playoff and they win the Scottish Cup.
Very good point,
Do you
Tom.
know what I mean?
It's a great point. But let's go to a man who knows all about Championship, League One and League Two as well. But he's out there today to watch Rangers against Queen of the South. Des McKeown.
Yeah, looking forward to a really good game, Peter. It's very blustery here at Ibrox. But, Rangers looking to bounce back after their last minute loss last week at Cup 3-2. Before any Rangers fans start panicking, that was the first loss in the last 16, and with 43 points from 45 available to them at home at Ibrox, you understand why Queen of the South have got a major task in their hands.
Now we'll need to come back to Des. We've got a little technical problem there at Ibrox with him. We'll try and get more from him a little later on. Let me actually give you the Rangers team from Ibrox for you, and that team starting out, in fact, with a bit of luck, I think I've got it here. The Rangers side is Foderingham in goal, the back four of Tavernier, Kiernan, Wilson and Wallace, midfield 3, Ball, Halliday and Holt, and then Forrester, Miller and O'Halloran. Is that the strongest team, Macca?
I would. It can't be far away. You know, it definitely can't be far away from it. They'll be looking to go out, and they understand Queen of South's a good team, so they're up against it today. Queen of South will be wanting just to quieten them down for the first 20 minutes, something like that, and try and get the crowd on their back. It's what you do when you go to places like Ibrox. So you know, there'll be loads of confidence in Queen of South, and he's got to put out a strong team. You know, and O'Halloran, for me, when they signed O'Halloran, I thought it's the best bit of business that the manager's done, because he's a definite Premiership player, and he's stepping up to the mark now, and he looks as if he's been there for such a long time. He's just settled right in.
I think it's close to their team, but Mackay's not there, remember?
Yeah.
Mackay's with the Scotland under-21, so if you're saying they're the best team, I think Barry Mackay would be a starter on that team because of the form he's been in this season. But Rangers have won the 3 games already against Queen South this season. Queen South have not been in the best form of late, you know what I mean? So I think that this is a game, Rangers, as you said, Peter, earlier on, like 3 wins. You know, they've got to look at this today as a home game against a team they've beaten 3 times already. This has got to be a winnable game for them.
I think they'll be looking at every game as a winnable game for them now.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think anyone will step up and match Rangers if they're on their game.
Yeah.
So that's what the manager's got to do, because sometimes they're the same as Celtic. 1 minute they're up there and they look world beaters, and the next minute they're, you know, you look as if anyone could, you know, our 6-a-side team could beat them.
Yeah,
maybe not.
Maybe not. Not on the Evans of yesterday. Thompson in goal for Queen of the South, Kidd, Brownlee, Dowie and Jacobs, and the midfield for Queen of the South there, Harris, Hutton, Tapping, Conroy, with Oliver and Russell up front. and there's your starting 11 for Queen of the South in that match. Let's have a look at the table just to see how it looks. I think Rangers fans will be more than happy that it looks comfortable for the title. It looks as if they'll be able to celebrate that. 3 more wins and they're there, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, I mean, they've even got a game in hand over Falkirk, so I mean, it's an 11-point gap that could go to 14, and if they win today, then, you know, they're looking at getting closer and closer. I don't think there's any doubt Rangers are going to win the league. I don't think it's even, you know, there's a challenge even there, Peter.
No.
It's finished.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to contest that with you. You've said it with such great authority, and, and we're not going to argue with you on it.
No.
But as far as the second, third and fourth, I think it's stacked heavily as ever, Ruffy, in favour of the second bottom team in the Premiership in Scotland to go to the playoff. Will Hibs bother too much if they have to play that extra game?
I think Alan Stubbs has been quite good throughout the season. He's already said, like, if we don't win the league, we don't win the league. If we're second, we're second. If we're third, we're third. I think that's the way he's got to look at it, because there's no guarantee he's going to be second now with the run that Falkirk are on. So he'll know what's coming up. I think even the 2 games extra that they're going to have to play, the only thing that's going to be against you is obviously injuries, suspensions maybe, and what kind of form you're in when you go into it. So as long as they're playing relatively well, they'll think they've got a good chance.
They'll need to start playing again, because they have got 2 teams who are going to be in the playoff scenario. I think almost certainly it's going to be Falkirk and Raith, Peter.
Yeah.
And they're both form teams at the moment. Both of those teams are playing really well. And you know, Raith today go down to Morton, but I think Raith are almost tied up that position. If they were to win today, I think that's a done deal. Falkirk, Morton would need to beat them today, I think, to be challenging for that 4th spot. Do you not think so? It's a 10-point gap at the moment, and they need to win it. Otherwise, if Raith get the result today, then I think they're 4th.
Yep, absolutely. And have you guys picked the team? Are you sticking with Hibs to win the playoff up to the team against second bottom in the Premiership, or are you picking Hibs just to go up with Rangers?
No, I had picked Hibs early on. You know, obviously they're not playing as well as what they were. You know, they're not getting the wins, and I think we all know how important it is when you get the playoffs. You know, we saw the Hamilton Hibs scenario where, you know, that turned on its head. You know, you couldn't predict that. Everybody thought that the game at Easter Road was just going to be a formality, and it wasn't. So I think when you get to the playoffs, the pressure's on. You know, some people go into their shell, some people just can't handle it, and that's what happened to Hibs against Hamilton. It just was too much for them. So, but I think this time Alan Stubbs has got more experienced players if he gets to the playoffs. So yeah, I'm sticking with him.
He needs to get them going though, because I mean, look, I mean, if Falkirk keep going the way they're going, then Hibs have got a difficult tie right away with Raith.
Yeah.
I mean, that'll be hard for them.
Well, he's going for Hibs. Who are you going for to win the playoff in the Championship, and then who's your winner between that and potentially a?
It's the hardest thing, I think, to actually predict all that way through, because you're looking at it thinking form will matter at that time, Peter. I'm not even sure who's going to be the playoff team, whether it could be Dundee United could fight their way into that.
Well, listen, I know the obvious, but you've picked a Scotland team based on ifs, buts and maybes, so just give me a team, Gordon Smith.
Buts and maybes, I think that if Hibs get their form back, yes, they could be in the playoff against Kilmarnock or Hamilton, but I think the Premier League team will win.
The Premier League team.
I think it'll be
and you think
I think
Hamilton will win.
Hamilton or Kelly will stay.
Write that down, Ruffy. Hamilton, you got it there. Just
when is the playoffs? Is it after the Scottish Cup final?
Before
it.
Yeah.
So that could be an awful big, you know, couple of weeks for Hibs.
Yeah.
I think
if they're through the final,
I think Falkirk will. The team, and I think they'll go to the end of the season on a run. You know,
do you think it'd be difficult where Hibs' minds will be if they're in that cup final? Do you think they'll be concentrating on that?
Yeah. And then if they win, you know, it's.
Wait a minute, I've just thought of something here.
Oh, here we go.
Our bet with John Baird is for the league. It's not for the playoffs as well.
No, it's not.
No. It's for the season. It's for the season, and just for the benefit of everyone here. And Macca, this week we're going out for a meal with you based on Rangers. What was your bet again,
Macca?
Macca?
Do Rangers. I thought Celtic would be 10 points clear.
Yes.
The time they met.
So Ruffy was asking me earlier on how many games Falkirk have to play. And John Bair's got 7 goals to get. In fact, 6 goals is it? No, seven in six games. But now it might be It might be in 11
Yeah.
games, Peter.
So all I'm
Yeah,
saying to you is,
not
all I'm
having
saying
that.
to you is, he's on
Shocking.
18. It was 25 for the season was the bet, Ruffy. And I can tell you right now,
have been another
I've
60.
actually moved
fancy a
up.
couple today.
Well, listen, I've been speaking to Gourmet Macca, and I now know
this is
better bottles of wine than normal. So it's going to be really good, Ruffy. What a night out we're going to have
I
at
just
the end of the season.
sorted a deal out with McDonald's yesterday.
Yeah, and other burger places. Only you can come up with mentioning something on air that you shouldn't.
Yes.
But anyway,
Burgers.
apart from anything else, there are other great places where you can go and have a burger as well. Macca is going to take us out for a meal this week because he's
definitely.
lost his bet. Ruffy is staring at the abyss now with John. Come on. We're hoping for John Baird to get 25 goals for the season. Do you agree with us? I'm going to ask Macca for his top 10 players of all time next.
Cool.
Ball show. Gordon Smith and Frank McAvenny are with us here in the studio as well to take you through till 6 o'clock. Delighted to have your company. We've been talking Scotland, we've been talking Championship. Here's a look at what's on offer in League One this afternoon, because it's really good viewing for Dunfermline fans. They'll be hoping that they can clinch the title today if results go their way. They'd have to look towards Peterhead slipping up against Cowdenbeath. Peterhead at home. home, formidable to say the least. Airdrieonians Albion Rovers, Ayr United Stranraer, Dunfermline against Brecon City, Peterhead Cowdenbeath, and Stenhousemuir against Forfar. So suddenly, another manager who basically, Ruffy, has had to take a step back after the disappointment of Kilmarnock and Alan Johnson to the success of Dunfermline.
Yeah, and then when you get a player like that who goes to a club, it's not. Sometimes it's not. Well, it is all about the results, but it's what you do behind the scenes and how you manage players, particularly young players. You know, if you've got the experience of getting in, and because they were in trouble, Dunfermline were in big trouble. And he's went in there and he's worked away behind the scenes and he's got them back. And the encouraging thing about it is the crowds are beginning to come back there. I think it was 4,500 at just a normal game, which is excellent. So yeah, they would add something to the next step up.
Yeah, I think they're a higher class team. I mean, Dunfermline shouldn't be at that level in the third tier of Scottish football. Do you know what I mean? They always knew them when I was growing up. Dunfermline were a top league team. They've had a few financial problems, a whole bit. You know, at very worst, they should have been maybe into the Championship, but they shouldn't really be below that because they are one of our bigger clubs with a big support. So it's good to see them having the success this year. They're comfortably winning the league at the moment, 10 points clear with a game in hand. And Peterhead have obviously had a very good season and come a run of late, but I don't see them catching Dunfermline now.
Yep. Maka, let's have a look at the table, give us your thoughts on it, because at the bottom end of it, it's very tight indeed. If Dunfermline can win League One, then at the bottom end, any one of four could be heading towards League Two.
Yeah, I'm going to hit you with a strange one. I told you earlier when I come in, I've got a little feeling for Brecon today against Dunfermline. They're looking for a party there, and I know that there's 6 players injured at Dunfermline. Now, I don't know if they've got a big enough squad to bring players in. It depends on how Brecon plays right enough, but I've just got a little feeling.
Yeah. Why didn't you phone us, Maka, ahead of the bet to try and get our treble today?
Ruffy, and I says, there you go, that'll get you out for a year.
It'd be the hardest game they could have, but see, in fairness, Brecon have won their last 4 games.
Yeah.
Won the last 4 league games, so they are a team in that league in form.
And
they're 10 to 1 to win that match.
10 to 1.
6 players out. I just thought
it's worth a shout.
Worth a shout, and Ruffy when he put it on for me.
Well, that's fair. Everything in moderation. That's what Ruffy and myself preach on this programme. Let's go to League Two, the fixtures, see what's on offer for you today. Of course, Barry Ferguson's Clyde have really made it interesting now. Berwick Rangers against Elgin City, Clyde Arbroath, East Fife against Queen's Park, Montrose Annan, and Stirling Albion against East Stirling. And suddenly, those 2 games that I mentioned there, Ruffy, Clyde will be looking on, trying to take care of their own business, but watching East Fife.
Yeah, that's what will happen at this stage of the season. After you've played your game and if you've won it, you're in the dressing room, you want to hear the rest of the scores, the teams that are round about you, how they're doing. And certainly today, if they were to win at home, the Queen's Park East Fife game is quite a crucial one for Gus. You know, he's not wanting to drop out of that because Annan are still hanging on in there. They went on a bad run, so yeah, I think it's really tight there. And but I think Clyde are doing well.
Yeah, Barry Ferguson will be in for a top job. His name will be put forward if he can get Clyde out of that division.
Oh, definitely. If he gets them up, I mean, they're in a strong fighting position just now. He's 1 point behind. It's a very tight league. And the interesting thing, I mean, Clyde are playing Arbroath today, Peter. It's quite interesting to note that they've played each other 3 times already this season, and none of them have won at home. Arbroath lost both games at home to Clyde, and the other game that they've already played with Clyde at home, Arbroath beat them there. So it'll be interesting to see whether Clyde can actually get a home win today. But they're actually, they say they've been in good form. They had a little bad spell, and they've come back from that. And because the league's so tight, that's allowed them to have a real challenge in, and the midweek win they got over Annan has put them in a strong position on point off the top.
Yeah, Maka, a few raised eyebrows when Barry Ferguson decided to take the Clyde job, but he's a shrewd cookie, knows his football, was a top draw player. Yes,
well, I was raving about him when I came in months ago. I met him in one of the hotels, and he was going to meet people at he was going to university, and I was thinking, having a laugh. And what he was going for, he was going to speak to the professors and all that, and get the kids to do something for I don't know what you call it, the stats and all that.
Statistics, yeah.
So he's getting all that for nothing, rather than because it's big money now to do all that.
Yes.
And he's getting these boys in to get part of their degree.
Yeah.
And I thought, what a great idea, you know. So he's obviously got, you know, a lot upstairs, more than just having a laugh, you know. And he's thought about it, and good luck to the boy because he's doing really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all know it these days as the Moneyball scenario, where people look at the stats and see, you know, what particular player can get more crosses and can, you know, run for longer in the game. At that level, could that be the key, Gordon?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a mixture. You need the two things. You can't just go totally on stats. The Moneyball thing, some people have got into it. I know for a fact down in England, some of the people down there are going totally on it, but I think it's a mixture. The stats are important as long as you can also see things. The visual aspect is important, and the stats just back it up. But that's why most of the people now are getting into the stats more and more.
I notice more and more of the Celtic players are wearing these arm things under their jerseys.
Yeah.
You know, they're obviously monitoring everything that's happening
Father
to them
running.
during the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we are about to have a quick break then. We're getting ready for the big kick-off. In the break, we'll be monitoring the three pundits here just to see who can go the longest, who can last, who can speak the most sense. It's all here on the stats. It'll become abundantly clear right after this break, and we'll have the predictions on the championship games coming up. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. 4 hours with stamina, the key question. Can these three pundits last all the way through till 6 o'clock? We've had a look at the stats. Ruffy, your fitness slightly in question due to the last 24 hours. Gordon, talk all day, runs about in the middle of the park, but no finish, no penetration at the end of it. And, well, Maka, you're the man. you're the top man.
Plenty of penetration with Maka.
Yeah, he scores goals for fun, by the way. That's the one thing about you. You've been a great goal scorer down through your career. Enough said. Anyway, let's go to Falkirk, because Craig Turnbull's hoping for goals there today.
Yeah, certainly am, Peter. It's 3 changes for Falkirk after they beat Rangers 3-2 last season. A notable change in that Danny Rogers, the under-21 Republic of Ireland goalkeeper, is out for the Bairns. He is on international duty. Tom Tewu and Lee Miller dropped to the bench. So in comes Dennis Mehmet for his first start. They've also got Mark Kerr and Bob McHugh, who scored the winning goal against Rangers last week. So they go with Dennis Mehmet in goal, a back four of Muirhead, McCracken, Watson and Leahy. Alston, Volks, Kerr and Sybil across the middle, with Baird and McHugh up front. On the bench for Falkirk is Lewis McMinn, reserve goalkeeper, Tom Tewu, David Smith, Lee Miller, Miles Hippolyte, Scott Shepherd and Kevin McCann. For the visitors, well, they make 3 changes from the side that lost 3-2 to St Mirren. Out goes Kake, Mullen and Stanton. In comes Jackson Longridge, Scott Pittman and Danny Mullen. So they go with McCallum in goal, a back four of Hockett, Gordon, Cole and Longridge. Pittman and Thorring and Telfer in midfield, with Buchanan and Danny Millen supporting White up front. White, of course, a former Falkirk striker. On the bench for Livingston, they've got Connor Quinn, Osman Kakai, Morgan Neal, Jordan Sheeran, Ryan Curry, Samuel Stanton and Matthew Knox, who was on trial at Rangers this week. The referee for today's game is Nick Walsh.
Yeah, apart from the John Baird little head-to-head that we have, of course, great credit to Bob McHugh. He was involved in that win over Rangers. It's a strange career for Bob McHugh. Promised so much at Mullow, didn't quite materialise. Just needs a regular run of football.
Yeah, well, I think Peter Houston brought in the boy Miller, thinking he would be the partnership for John Baird, but to come through and score a goal against Rangers, he would have him in the starting line-up right away, just because of the high that the boy will be on, and I'll be hoping he can get a lot more out of him before now and the end of the season.
Yep. Okay, and of course, let's take you through the starting lineup again for Rangers against Queen of the South. Fotheringham in goal, Tavernier, Kiernan, Wilson and Wallace. 3 in the midfield, Ball, Halliday and Holt. And O'Halloran and Forrester supplying Kenny Miller in the number 9 role there for Rangers. 3 more games will win it for Rangers. They're up against Queen of the South today. Let's have a look at their starting 11. Thompson in goal, Kidd, Brownlee, Dowie and Jacobs, Harris, Hutton, Tapping and Conroy, Russell and Oliver for Queen of the South. So, who's going to win that one, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think Rangers will win it. I think Queen of the South are a very good footballing side. They don't have that killer instinct. They tend not to score a lot of goals against the bigger clubs. So I think Rangers could be one of the days, if they score in the first 5-10 minutes, they might just start getting on their 3 and 4-0 wins again at home. Gordon?
Yeah, I agree. I think that they'll learn their lesson from the Falkirk game, that's for sure. If they go up early on, they won't take it for granted the game's over, considering what happened to them last week. So I think that the manager will stress to them very firmly that they have to concentrate right through the 90 minutes. So I think they will win. They've beaten Queen of South, I say, 3 times. One of them was a very good victory down at Palmerston. They won 5-1 early in the season, but it's been tighter since then. They won 2-1 the last home game, but I think they'll win today.
Yeah, just like Gordon, I don't think they'll make the same mistake. Well, no, Rangers can play football, but sometimes when you're holding on to a lead, you can't have your full-backs bombing forward and leaving gaps, and a bit naivety. I don't think that will happen again. I think they'll get the 3 wins easily. I
suggested to Alec Ray in midweek, Ruffy, that it was job done. The remit keeps St Mirren in that division, especially when you consider what had happened with the 2 previous managers. Today against Alloa, they could get a confidence boost. I watched them earlier on in the week against Wraith Rovers. certain aspects of the play really good, and again, it's just that cutting edge up front, and individual mistakes, I think, have cost St Mirren a number of points since Alec has taken over.
Yeah, I think when Alec came into the studio, we put a wee bit of pressure on him because he'd been in a good winning run there. We said to him, you're looking at the playoff position, and deep down, you'd have loved to have been there, but his priority was obviously to stop St Mirren sliding even further, because before he went there, we were all talking about this could be another division drop.
Yeah.
So on the basis of that, you would think that the owners who are in charge would be happy with what he's done. So now, from now until the end of the season, it'll be what players he's keeping for next year. He'll be assessing every player that plays there, and the players will be playing for a contract next year, because I think he's been in there a wee while now, and he'll see the players that he wants to bring in. So I think there'll be big changes at St Mirren if he obviously has the budget to do it.
Yeah, if he has the board's backing Gordon Smith.
Yeah, well, that's it, and it depends who the board is, because there's been talk for quite some time about the changes that's going to happen at St Mirren. I mean, about new ownership, even fan ownership, that type of thing. Things haven't really worked out. The people who are taking over are still there, but I think that will be a big factor, as to see who takes over. I actually think he's been a good appointment, because I think he has turned it around for them. As you said, Peter, the important thing was for them just to establish themselves in that league, to make sure that they're not under any pressure for this season now. They're going to be clear of the relegation spot. They're not going to be fighting for promotion. So it's a case of he's got an opportunity now to build. Between now and the end of the season, he has to build and decide which players are going to be there for next season in order to take the club into that promotion type place, and which ones he'll be looking about already with Alec Lee's contacts to see who he can bring in.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. So St Mirren to win that one, guys. Any dissenters?
I think knowing Alec the way we do, I think he's already got in his mind who's staying and who's going next year. So I think between him and Tony Fitzpatrick, they're going to go for next year. I think this year's finished for them.
Yeah.
But they'll win today.
Ray McKinnon's Wraith Rovers, they only had a couple of chances in midweek against St Mirren, and boy did they make St Mirren pay, Ruffy. They have some good players in their side. Will they have any trouble at Capello today against Morton?
Yeah, I think they will. I think Capello always has been a place that's always been difficult to get points. I think Jim Duffy's done a lot of work on them. They're a far better side than what they had been in previous years. So I think with the home advantage, and with Wraith maybe having that midweek game, Morton might just steal a wee march on them. I don't know if the boy Hardy's back, if he's still away with the Scotland squad for Wraith Rovers, but he's
away.
He's not back.
He's not back.
He's not back, no.
Well, that's a blow for Wraith Rovers, because he was
scoring goals.
He was scoring goals. So no, I think that's quite a tight one today. And if you pushed me, I'd probably go for Morton.
Well, I don't want to push you because I've already thrown a pen at Micah. Derek Gaston in goal for Morton, Thomas O'Weir, Michael Miller, Joe McKee, Ross Forbes, Denny Johnson, Stephen McCluskey, Bobby Barr, Mark Russell, Luca Gasparato and Declan McManus, the starting lineup for Morton. And for Wraith Rovers, Kevin Cuthbert, Jason Thompson, Ross Callaghan, Lewis Toshney, Kyle Benedictus, Mark Stewart's back in there, Gordon Smith, Ian Davidson, Aidan Connolly, Rory McKeown, James Cragen and Craig Barr. Aidan Connolly's one of those little small diminutive figures in the middle, just nice little left peg on him. But Mark Stewart, you were keen to see him back in there.
Yeah, I think that's important to get him back in there. I think Morton, this is more or less like a cup final for them today, Peter. This is their last major game of the season if they don't win it. If they do win today, then they can look at it and think there's still an opportunity maybe to get closer. They rely on Wraith dropping points, but they have to get closer today, because there's a 10-point gap between the 4th and 5th spot, and Morton are sitting 5th at the moment. And if they don't win this game today, even a draw probably would be enough for Wraith. So Wraith will probably come there thinking, we'll just make sure we give nothing away. But so Morton have to go for this today.
Yeah, can't see it though, can you?
I can't, but I think, at worst, as I say, I think that, Wraith will get a draw today at worst. I think they'll play that way. But as I say, if we're wrong and Morton get the win, then it means that it's still quite open yet for that 4th spot.
Yeah, OK. Micah, can you see it?
Well, I can see Morton's got nothing to lose. They've just go out and play. They think they're gap, 10-point gap, but I think they'll win today, and then it makes it interesting.
Yeah. Can you see it, Mac? I'll ask you that question
Yes.
again.
Can I see
Morton
them
closing a
both?
10-point gap?
No, I can see them beating Wraith, but I can't see them closing the gap, no.
Right, okay. You see how I
Yes.
moved into what I call classic Roughy Dundee United mode. Games are kicked off, so if there's a goal anywhere today, we will keep you up to date with it in Scotland Championship, League 1 and League 2 as well. Well, this week, I think all of us were shocked to hear of the sad passing of one of the all-time greats in world football, Johan Cruyff, at the young age of 68. It certainly shocked us all. He lost his battle with cancer. And of course, the image that everybody can remember is that number 14 shirt and those magical moments where he has that Cruyff turn. What better accolade than someone actually naming a turn after you? That's how great he was indeed. And so many people can look back with great fondness, as we on the Saturday Football Show are about to do. Where does he rank in the top 10 greatest footballers of all time, Ruffy?
I think he's in the top 10. It's where you would place him in that top 10. Would be open to debate, but certainly the stats that get flashed up in front of us there: Ballon d'Or, 3 times winner, European Cup winner. It's absolutely a tremendous record. And again, we keep talking about how do you get up to that magnificent level where people talk about you. And for me, he single-handedly did things in the teams that he played for, and for me that was why he was so good. I don't know where I'd have him in the top 10, but certainly around about middle.
I don't know where I'd have him in the top 10, but middle.
Yeah, he's definitely.
He was
he's up
magnificent.
there. I played against him.
Yeah?
I was fortunate to play against him. And he was, I don't know how old he was at the time, and I thought, I'm going to catch him and make a little name for myself. He looked at me, and I was running at him. He'd about his feet, and he ran away from me. And I was very quick, Peter. And I stopped at halfway line, and all the St Mirren supporters were all applauding. I couldn't catch him, and he'd about his feet.
Yeah.
It was magnificent. And a gentleman off the park as well. He had time for everyone. I mean, we were all young boys at St Mirren, and he had time for everyone. It was great.
He was an inspiration to me as a young player. I actually was totally inspired in order to be a player like him, Peter. I wanted to be that kind of player when I was around about the 14, 15 age group when he was there, and he was my biggest inspiration during that spell. I would list him at number 4. But I'll tell you an interesting story, Peter. I was talking to Wim Jansen one day when he was Celtic manager, and I had to ask him, because Cruyff had been such a favourite of mine, and I had to say to him, you played with Johan Cruyff, what was it like? He said, he was fantastic. He said, he was unbelievable. He said, but I'll tell you, he said, it wasn't just his play. He says we would have tactics. Rinus Michels was a great coach for Holland, right?
Yeah.
He said we'd have 2 days of tactics talk, setting the tactics for the match. He said we'd be in the game 15 minutes, and Johan Cruyff would change it all on the field. And I went, you're joking? He went, no. He said he could just see what was required on the pitch, and he said he was only in his early 20s, and he said he changed the formation, where people were playing, who was marking who. And I said, what did Rinus Michels say? And Rinus Michels used to just say, Johan knows what he's doing. So he was a coach, and by the time he was 20 odd, he was already a coach. You know what I mean?
I think that Pep Guardiola statement is just a shining example to him. He's painted the chapel, we just restore it.
Yeah.
And that's tremendous, It's That's how great it was.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, I agree with you, Gordon. I've got a minute. Number 4. I'm going to give you the 10 that I have here and allow you then to dismantle it as professional football.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Yes.
That's fair.
Okay, because I don't want to in any way influence you. And again, you've got to take into consideration with you three guys such a wide range of age groups here.
And because we get told we can't pick a panel.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've got here, and somebody will pick us all up on our order on this. And if you want to, at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, give us your top 10 greatest footballers of all time. We'd love to hear from you on it. And let me tell you, Dunfermline have taken the lead against Brecon City. They're a goal up. And East Fife are also a goal up. And that begs the question, if anybody was looking from Clyde towards East Fife and hoping for a slip-up against Queen's Park, they've scored. Insult scored in the first minute there. And also, I can tell you, it's Berwick Rangers 1, Elgin City 0. And Elbak Tui getting the goal. He's had a great season for them. He'll certainly be in the running for the Player of the Year in that division.
Absolutely. And the thing about it is, if he hasn't taken any penalties, if he'd also taken the penalties, he would be top scorer in that division just now. But he hasn't scored a single penalty.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
That's the kind of stat that we like from
great.
Gordon on that. He hasn't scored a single penalty, and that shows you his goal-scoring prowess. Okay. Clyde are one up in Arbroath, so there's a real ding-dong battle going on there. Clyde desperately trying to get to the top of the table for outright qualification for and promotion to the next division, so it's really hotting up. I think it's going to go right down to the wire in that division. Here's the top 10. What are you laughing at,
I
Macca?
met Dick Campbell yesterday and he says they're both going to batter Clyde.
Yeah, to be fair.
Go on, Dick.
To be fair.
It's early. It's early
It's
days.
early, yeah.
Dick Campbell would suggest that he was going to batter Floyd Mayweather Jr. And you'd have to believe him. He's such an
We're going to batter
infectious.
Dunfermline as well.
Yeah, well, I thought actually he said to me six out, and I thought, yeah. Anyway.
Okay, here's the 10. Pele, number 1. We'll probably start an argument right away. Maradona, Messi, and then I'm going for Johan Cruyff. Then Ferenc Puskas, Zinedine Zidane. Then I'm going for Ronaldo, the Portuguese. Then Ronaldo, the Brazilian. Then Platini, Ronaldinho. There's 10. I'm sure we can all pick holes in that. I can tell it's a big penalty shout for Rangers after 3 minutes in that match. Forrester upended, but it's been waved away by Crawford Allen. That's left the Rangers fans far from happy. So what a chance that was for Rangers to get a penalty in the opening minutes. Mac, I've just picked 10 there that I think are certainly in with the world greats, and somebody could cane me immediately who was older than me to say, what about Alfredo Di Stefano?
Well, yeah. See, I've picked players that I remember watching. I never watched Puskas and things like that. I know they were great, and you've got to give them the respect that they deserve. But the players that I'm going for.
Yes.
There's no in particular order. I wouldn't put it 1 to 10. I just give you the names: Maradona, Pele, Messi, Ronaldo, Portuguese Ronaldo, Cruyff, Bobby Moore, Franz Beckenbauer, George Best. And I'll put Kenny Dalglish in.
Yeah.
Because I thought it was different. I really did think it was world class. And Baresi, I'll put Baresi. Or I'll put Ronaldo. That's my 10.
The Brazilian.
The Brazilian, yeah. That's my 10. So
Gordon
2
Smith.
Ronaldos.
Yeah, I probably agree more with you, Peter. I think I've got about 7 of yours, but I'm going for Messi number 1, then Maradona, then Pele, then Cruyff, then George Best, then I've got Ronaldo the Brazilian, then Ronaldo the Portuguese, then Zidane, Platini, and 10 was really hard because I had a few names there, and it was a difficult choice for me between Eusebio and Beckenbauer, but I've gone with Beckenbauer for number 10. So that's my 10. So I've gone, as I say, I've got the 7, I think, ones you've got, Peter. So.
Yeah. Ruffy?
Yeah, I think I'm round about the same as yours. No order again. Pele, Maradona, Messi, Beckenbauer, Cruyff. I put in Eusebio. I was going to say, I put my 10 in amongst the Scotland team, and I nearly read it Hutton there.
Right, okay. I'm sure even Alan Hutton would laugh at that, Robbie.
Platini, Zidane, and Ronaldo. I'm sticking in a goalie.
What Ronaldo you go for?
Dino's off.
What Ronaldo you going for?
Portugal.
Portugal. Portuguese Ronaldo.
Portuguese Ronaldo.
I'll let you
Okay.
pick. I've gone for both Ronaldos.
Okay, and I'm getting a lot of tweets in here saying, you know, Ruffy should be in that top 10 as well.
Yeah.
Just narrowly missing out, just on ability only. And it was close. Forrester scored for Rangers. So, Rangers getting the opening goal against Queen of the South after being denied a penalty. Just run off the line there, cuts in, bang, hits the back of the net. Well, that's a good goal, Ruffy.
Yeah, it certainly is, and for the boy it's a good goal because he's on trial, isn't he? They never gave him a contract. He's just there at the end of the season, just to see how he does. I think the manager had noticed him at another club down in England and said, look, come and see what you can do, and I have to say he's not let him down.
It'd be interesting to see what kind of goal it is because he is a good striker of the ball. He's shown that already. You know, whether he scored from outside the box, we'll need to find out when Des gives his report. But certainly he does strike a good ball.
Yeah, I don't know the boy Forrest, but Rangers, what I said, Queen of the South would have went there and tried to shut shop for 20 minutes, get the crowd in their back. It hasn't worked, and I think, you know, you've got to fear for them. If Rangers are on form, they could score a few more before half time.
Yep, absolutely. So we've picked our top 10 greatest players of all time, and I'm almost certain there's a million and one of them that you could pick in front of it. In fact, if you're of an older vintage, you could probably remember some players that you think are more than worthy of it. And some would suggest, I think, on Twitter that maybe Maka could be influenced by the fact that he played at West Ham for more than a few years and understands
Bobby
the
Moore.
real affection for Bobby Moore down
No,
there.
really, you know, he's a captain. He lifted the World Cup and he was outstanding. You know, it was. And I was, you know, I got to know George Best, and George Best was saying he was one of the best players I've ever seen. So,
Yeah.
you know, when players like that talk, and you think, well, he's went there and Pelé was a friend of his, and he thought it was magnificent. So, you know, you've got to just go. You know, although I was at West Ham, you know, there's players that I could have thought. I've got Kenny, but I've got Kenny because I think he was world class. I just think he was different class. You know, and you could have put Jimmy Johnson in because he was up there, but he just, you know, there's so many players that it's just you couldn't.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone will pick the same. There'll be the majority of the players in the top 10, but I think there'll be 3 or 4 difference.
And I can probably hear just the echoes because I've been in his company on more than a few occasions on the Hall of Fame committee in Scotland. I can hear Hugh McIlvanney, you know, looking with disdain at anybody who uses the term world class readily and just flowing off the tongue.
Yeah.
When really, you know, you could debate it forever and a day on world class, Ruffy, really.
Well, I think
Well,
the players
what
here-
do we class world class as? If you were picking a team,
Well, if it's you, it's anybody who wins the
they
World
would
Cup.
get in that team. Is that what we're based
I
on?
think-
If I said to you, pick a world class side, they would have to be in the team.
Somebody who wins the Ballon d'Or is world class.
I think anyone that you pick in the top 10 best players of all time, they've got to be world class to be there.
Of
So.
course.
Yeah.
Of course I have.
Well, I can remember. I can remember our guest this season, Chris Sutton, was on the show, and he said, you know, I played with, you know, 3 or 4 world class players, and he mentioned one that completely and utterly escaped me, which was George Weah,
Yeah.
who won the Ballon d'Or.
Yeah. Peter, there's people I've left out that you would suddenly go, wait a minute, you know, you've got Zico, you've got Bergkamp.
No,
Bergkamp, you've got Bobby Charlton, you've got Van Basten, you've got Hulett, Maldini, Baresi.
No, Maldini, that's right. Baresi
You know what I mean?
I've got Baresi down here because.
And Maldini. These guys were world class. There's no-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alf Tupper.
absolutely.
I played against all the. See, Baresi, I played against him in under 21s at Italy.
Yeah.
And to think how far they've went on to And
Yeah. What was
Yeah,
Alf
do
Tupper
it.
like, Macca? Robbie
was
Brown
Alf
there.
Tupper, is it?
Alf Tupper.
Alf Tupper.
Alf Tupper.
Never get beat for three years in the Hornet.
No, I was going to say, is it
but I don't know,
Bino?
I
I was
think-
going to say, is that Bino? Is it
I remember
Hornet?
writing it down, Peter. It was easier to do. I once wrote down my top 20, and that was a bit easier. The top 10 was difficult there because when I was, it was somewhere, I got to about 6 or 7 when I'm thinking they're definites. But see, after that,
I know.
it was a real
what
choice.
it
You probably
says.
found the same.
Yeah.
It was hard to actually
Yeah.
narrow it down.
Well, can I tell you,
Roy
because
Rovers never get in.
let's be honest with it, he didn't get in. But I'll tell you, Gerd Müller, if you look at Gerd Müller's strike rate for Bayern Munich and for West Germany, it is phenomenal.
I know.
I mean, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
But it's right what you're saying, Mac. I wasn't suggesting for a minute that Bobby Moore shouldn't be in that lineup. I was suggesting that maybe you had been influenced in a way that we would not be because you've been in part of that West Ham family.
Yeah.
Well, maybe, but you just again, it's just because when I was speaking to George Best and he rated them so highly.
Yeah.
I mean, the great players, and Pele said he was magnificent. And, to play at England on a team that went and won the World Cup and to captain them
There's
and
like some
such
rivers.
grace.
Since
and-
you're talking about England winning the World Cup, can I throw a name out? You
West
and
Ham
see
won the
where
World
they are-
Cup.
where-
England didn't
where
win
they
it. It was
are.
West
Hold on a
Ham.
minute. Wait till Macca finishes
Okay,
talking,
okay.
Ruffy.
Right, go.
He's
Go.
just going to crash
Right,
all
go.
over you until you
Go.
get your sentence started.
No, it's
No,
fine,
he's
it's
just
fine.
talking
Just
over
finish
you.
it. Just
Okay,
finished.
we're
Just
talking
finished.
about World Cup winners. Where would Bobby Charlton be in?
I mentioned him there. Bobby Charlton was one of the ones I said
On the outside?
that I've just left out. Zico, Bergkamp,
Sub.
Bobby Charlton, Van Basten, people like that. Now I also mentioned there, just said Rivellino, Jarzinho.
I know.
Do you know what I mean? Now, we had a question last week, and I'll ask a question this week. There, a nice little football quiz question. There's 4 players have scored in 2 World Cup finals.
Yeah.
Who are they?
Scored in 2
World Cup finals. There's a good one for the audience
World
as
Cup
well.
finals.
Gerd
4 players have scored in 2 World Cup finals.
Miller.
Gerd
that-
Miller?
No.
Andres Bremer.
No.
No, I thought Bremer.
No.
Go on, we'll come back to that
No.
one.
Okay. Okay. That's a good one. Pele scored in 70 and he scored in 1958.
Pele's one.
Yeah.
Correct. Pele. There's 4.
There's 4 of them. Okay. But can I just say something to you? And this is something that was brought to my attention as I give you the updates. I can tell you that Stirling Albion are a goal up on East Stirlingshire and Ayr United are 1 up on Stranraer. The one thing I was going to say to you, and it was just on the basis that you had mentioned Maradona as your number 1 player of all time.
No, Messi
No.
now.
Messi now.
Yes.
But you said Messi, Maradona, and then Pele.
Pele.
Is that actually the order that you
Yes.
think now?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm putting them in that order.
Because, and it was interesting, you then intervened and suggested that Maradona's up there because obviously he played in Europe.
Well, you've got to go with what I think Maradona won the World Cup. Not single-handedly, obviously,
Yeah.
but in '86, I was fortunate to be there with Roffy, weren't we? And Maradona
Well, you two got a chance to watch it
was
close hand.
magnificent. It was unbelievable. He won the World Cup.
Yeah.
He dragged them through. Everything that there was a lot of things going on with the governments and all that at the time, but he dragged them through. And then he went to Napoli and he won the league in an unfashioned team. The only
Yeah.
time they've ever won. And I'm thinking, I'd like to see Messi going. So it's the same as Pele. Pele never left Brazil, so
Yeah.
that's why I'm not putting him at my top.
Yeah. No, I thought
I just think
Maradona.
Maradona's done
I
more.
thought
He's winning
Maradona
out the
was
country.
fantastic. I just
Yeah.
think, in terms of watching the game, in terms of individuality, I've just put Messi ahead because I think he is a genius. I think he is absolutely
I think
wonderful
so.
to watch on a more consistent basis. But Maradona was brilliant, and so was Pele. It's very hard to sort them into order
Yeah.
because they are all geniuses. They're all
Well, the only
brilliant.
thing I was going to say, Ruffy, on that basis was that sometimes, especially we're guilty of it in Great Britain, that if they haven't played in Britain or they haven't actually played in Europe, then we think, their standing in the world is questionable. We're
Yeah.
so arrogant that we actually don't think to ourselves that if they stayed in South America, that that their stature, is similar to Europe.
Yeah.
When really, not a lot of us, watch South American football. And if we look back at the early days of the World Cup, South American teams were winning the World Cup, which would suggest to you that they might have had better players than what we had over here.
Well, Uruguay were the first winners were Uruguay, weren't they?
Yeah, and I'm looking at Maka, and I'm just saying here, it's not a bad point you make, Maka, because I thought you were going to suggest it, so I'd written it down prior to the show. Pompidou, Juste, Kukufo, Ruggeri, Jose Brown, Alorta Kachea, Enrique Batista, Burachega, Valdano and Maradona. So of that team, possibly maybe 3 or 4 are known to us
Batista,
of that
Maradona,
team.
Batista
And I'm not
was-
talking about Batistuta.
No.
This is Batista.
Yeah.
So you know you're 3. You're talking about 3 maybe well-known players out of it. You know.
Yeah.
Jorge Valdano, of course, I think he's at Real Madrid as the sporting director, or he was for a considerable amount of time. So it's a good point you make, but again,
I think Messi had the chance at the last World Cup stage. It was through and goal, and I'm thinking this is your time now. Take over for Maradona, and he blew it. He missed the sitter, didn't he? And it was.
I think the one point about it all, though, guys, is that I can't remember if it was an article I read yesterday or today in The Guardian. You're talking about Cruyff and Pele and Maradona played in an era where the first kick was allowed as a freebie. The second one you could potentially get away without a booking. You could rip their shirt off and maybe pick up a yellow card.
Yeah, I remember the highlights
thought,
of 66 with Pele. You know, the documentary and
terrible.
the tackles were just
It was actually Portugal. It was Portugal that kicked lumps at him.
Queen of the South have scored from the penalty spot. It's Rangers 1. Queen of the South 1. Ball hits the back of the net, and Russell was fouled, and he stepped up himself, Ruffy, and puts the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, proven goal scorer. Takes a lot of responsibility, particularly at Ibrox, to take it, and they've scored that. I didn't think they'd come back in this one. I thought Rangers would have went on and won this quite easily, but no, Queen of the South can be stuffy on occasions. But again, you know, Rangers losing goals, you know, when before they were very, very tight at home.
Yep, so it's 1-1 there in that match in the Championship, not getting it all their own way. And how do you think James Fowler's fared? Dunfermline 2-0 up now on Brecon City. So no slip-ups at their end. They're doing their job. They're getting ever closer. They've got one hand on the trophy, and quite simply, I don't see any way back. If there's any slip-up between Peterhead and Cowdenbeath, it'll be title celebrations tonight at East End Park. How do you think James Fowler's done at Queen of the South this season, Gordon? I'm looking at them in the table, and maybe they would have thought they would have been in the mix this season, or am I maybe overestimating what they had?
I think they've done well, and considering the fact I think they lost a few players in the summer. You know, the 1 or 2 players left. Was it 3 players that lost?
Boy McShane went to Ross County.
Yeah, lost one to Dundee United.
Michael went to
Hibs. And Dundee United took the defender boy, what do you call him? Durham. So in that respect,
Riley
I think,
went to Hearts.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So he lost key players. So I think the fact that he's turned it around, he's got them playing, albeit they're outside, they're not far outside the promotion point. They've dropped away in recent weeks because they had a kind of bad run there for a little while. They had 3 defeats in a row, and that's more or less cost them their chance to be up there fighting for it. But I think he's proved that he's going to be a good manager. I think he's got good potential.
Maka?
Potential's a big word, isn't it? But he's but I think when you lose 3 and you can come back from that, when you lose 3 games and then come back from that saying that you've got something, Peter. So to come back from that, and he could have a career. He could definitely have a career.
Yep, OK, we'll keep you up to date with what's happening at Ibrox. It's 1-1 at the minute. Here's the latest scores in the Championship. No goals between Alloa and St Mirren. Falkirk 0, Livingston 0, Morton 0, Raith Rovers 0, and then Rangers 1, Queen of the South 1. Into League One. No goals between Airdrieonians and Albion Rovers. It's Ayr United, leading by a 0-0 against Stranraer. Dunfermline 2, Brecon City 0.
No, it's 1 now, Peter.
Peterhead, it's been 2-1. They've just got a goal back. Brecon City have scored. It's Dunfermline 2, Brecon City 1. No goals between Peterhead and Cowdenbeath. And Stenhousemuir 1, Forfar Athletic 0. What about League 2? Berwick Rangers 1, Elgin City 0. Clyde 1, Arbroath 0. East Fife 1, Queen's Park 1. Montrose 0, Annan Athletic 1, and Stirling Albion 1, East Stirling 0. So maybe, Ruffy, Clyde just sensing that there's something there today that could happen that would put them to the top of the table. That would be a nice little story for the back pages.
Yeah, there was a bit of the season where we thought they had just dropped off, you know, and there was 3 or 4 games they never picked up any points, but they've went on a wee run now, and then certainly if they were to win that, and obviously the results say the same, it's always good when you pick up the papers and you see your team sitting at the top of the league, so that'd be a big bonus for them.
You talked about Elbuck too earlier on, Peter. I think he's got the second goal as well for Dunfermline. That's 20 league goals he's got, and Rory McAllister's the top with 22. But as I said before, that 22 is also 7 penalties. So you have to say Bucktooey's been a tremendous signing for Dunfermline. He's done really well.
And that's the signs of a good team when there's 2 players hitting the 20 mark. You know, that's tremendous. It shows that they're playing decent football.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, Saturday afternoon we're having a good old ding-dong battle about the players who are in our top 10 greatest players of all time. World class. Johan Cruyff and his sad passing, of course, has prompted this little debate because the tributes for the Dutchman this week have been unbelievable, and I think it sums up where he stands in world football, not only I think as a player but as a manager. I think we had a feature on him this week. Not many players go on to become great managers as well, Gordon Smith. I mean, it's so difficult.
It's a good point, Peter. Not many great players become great managers. There's been quite a few over the years of famous names who just didn't quite cut it in the management job. But as I said, that when I found it earlier on, what Wim Jansen told me, then you said he was destined to become a top manager. When somebody who actually can be on the pitch and see what needs done and make the changes, then obviously he's a guy who thought deeply about the game. But he also was a top manager as well, Peter. But he also, a lot of people now are given credit for the fact that he started the Barcelona change as well, putting the whole system in place in order to develop players and do that. Holland were very good at it for a while too. They've dropped back a little bit of late. They're not the country they were in football terms. I mean, one spell there for a small nation, they were fantastic. But there's no doubt about it, Johan Cruyff had it at both levels, on the field and off.
Did you think that his boy suffered from
being his son,
being his son, you know, because he came on the scene very, very quickly, and everybody was hoping, you know,
Jordi Cruyff, isn't it? Yeah.
It was. He didn't get the same as his dad because he'd no ability.
Dearie me, Frank. I don't think I don't think he had no ability. I think when you're in the shadow of greatness,
you just think, well, why bother? You know, because
and the shadow of actually going to Barcelona as well. I know. You know, and the expectation of all the supporters.
I met the boys. He's doing alright. He was over in Cyprus. He was managing a team over there. He was quite happy. I don't know what he's doing now, but that was last year. So he's quite happy. You know, he came out this morning. He's very proud of his dad, obviously. And what everyone thinks about him. So
I think you're probably a decent enough player, but to try and any way emulate your father's achievements, you know, is a tall order at the best of times. But as a manager, if you go into the Hall of Fame and the museum at Barcelona and the Nou Camp, Ruffy, you know, the whole ethos, the ideology, everything about Barcelona goes back to that pivotal moment, 74. Barcelona, Johan Cruyff winning La Liga and changing their mindset and how they should structure the system. Every team must play the same way.
Yeah, well, he took that, as Gordon said, he took that Dutch theory with him, you know, and everybody had to buy into it.
Ruffy, I'm just going to intervene here because would you believe it? Peterhead 0, Cowdenbeath 1. Suddenly East End Park erupts, Ruffy.
Well, depending how many's there. That's a blow. That is a blow. I can say we're on a good wee run.
Oh, absolutely.
It was the Peterhead dugout that's just erupted when they're losing to the bottom of the league team 1-0. But you have to say, I mean, we've been talking about it earlier on. At the bottom of the league, there's 4 points, 3 points, I think it is, separating the bottom. Sorry, I think it's 4 points separating the 4 bottom teams in that league. It's Stenhousemuir on 33, Forfar and Breaker on 30, and Cowdenbeath on 29. I mean, there's a real battle going on there against relegation in that division.
The boy Spence, he was decent. He was at Celtic for a boy.
Yeah, I have to say, well done, Mackie. You've now, after how many weeks have you been on this show, you've now grasped it, and Macca contributes.
There you go.
Greg Spence, well done, son.
I know, because I know him.
Absolutely. Yeah, gets the goal for Cowdenbeath.
Yes,
Whether
great
that's
goal.
going to remain the same, stick with us here on Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. I'm going to read out a few of the tweets as well, because there's some lovely tweets coming in. Of course, selections for the top 10. Some people have suggested it should be Ruffy in there, but of course that's just his family tweeting in. Of course, I must mention David Cunningham, who is a regular viewer on the programme. Cruyff was a pleasure to watch. His ball skills were awesome. Did you ever play against him, Ruffy? I don't think you did.
No, we played Holland twice, but he wasn't in the side in 78 or 82. I'd just like to throw in that we actually beat them twice.
Well done.
3-2 and 2-1, which I think if we look at our present side would be a hard task possibly. Well, no, Holland are going through a wee bit of turmoil.
they're not the
just
best
now.
either.
They're
Yeah.
not
Not the best.
They're going through that wee situation. A lot of international teams go through, but you would like to think they come back again.
It's amazing that Johan Cruyff actually he retired from international football in '77 before that World Cup in '78, and he's only 30 at the time, and he had 48 caps as well, which is I was a shock when I actually saw that he'd only 48
Did
caps.
we know?
That's good.
Was there ever
get 50
50,
now.
yeah.
So.
Was there ever a reason?
Well, he's probably
Did
the
you
top
ever
10.
find
I
out
think it was
why?
I think it was a personal
A
thing.
manager
I
thing,
think it
yeah.
might have been, because I think it was. That's very much a case in Holland as well, as we know. There's a few arguments internally between the teams and managers and all that, and he just decided, even though they qualified for the World Cup, he decided not to go.
Well, I have to say, we could have our top 10 introvert Dutch people. I don't think there are. We'd struggle to find them. It must be great at press conferences, because every Dutch footballer I've ever met has always been forthright in their opinion. It's a fantastic country for newspaper journalists.
Did you know Ibrahimovic for the top 10? No, they don't make it.
He's in the top 20.
He's
Top 20.
Yeah.
Good player.
Yeah.
Good player.
I think we are all guilty of not putting in someone like Di Stefano.
Yeah,
I absolutely think we would be shot down if, and again, I would
that was a good
suggest
shout as well. You said Puskas.
Puskas is in my top 10, but I think we'd be shot down. And again, it's only because you read books.
I know.
You know, I read Puskas' book, and the you know, moving from one country, you know, to another. And of course, you know, playing at a point where I think the Real Madrid board looked at him and suggested to everyone, there's no way Real Madrid can sign this guy. Look at him, he's podgy, you know. And of course, I have to say to you, let's not knock podgy. You know, there's great players with good skill out there, and Puskas with that left foot. I think the English team at Wembley will testify to how good he was when Hungary handed out.
Would you have had the wee boy Raul in there?
Yeah.
The Spaniard?
No, not in the top 20.
You would consider him,
No,
but
in the top 20.
Top 20 would be considered, but I don't think he would even make the top 20.
Here's Andy Jackson, who's a Hearts fan, who sent in a tweet. And again, Andy may well be in some way influenced by what Macca's been influenced. I'm just suggesting it, Macca. Andy's a Hearts fan, and his world players are Pele, Cristiano Ronaldo, Messi, Best, Cruyff, Dave Mackay. I'm just saying, and can I just say, not that I'm ridiculing you, because I had the great fortune to be in his company on more than a few occasions. Dave Mackay was a fantastic player.
Boy went to Tottenham, was it?
Hearts and Tottenham.
Hearts and Tottenham. Dave
the
Mackay was a fantastic player, and if you to ask any of the players who played in the 60s and 70s in England, he'd be in their top 20.
Of course he would.
So Andy, it's a good point there. Maradona, Bergkamp, and he's put Robin Friday Friday. I think at that point he's had a couple of the beers that Gordon Strachan suggested, and we're not having it. But nevertheless, well done, Andy, for sending us in that tweet, and well done to Paul Borthwick, because I think, Paul, you make a very good point on this. Let's not forget Andy Ritchie. There you go.
Yeah, okay. he's in the green at 11.
He's definitely,
I'm not sure about the world 11.
Well, I don't care. I'm happy with that. And obviously, Robin says, Alan Ruff, obviously. There are people there who just still love you, Ruffy. You're a housewife's favourite. Everybody.
That's what happens when you're the second most goalkeeper in the history of the game.
That's right.
Yeah, second most capped goalkeeper.
I'm so pleased to have scored past you so many times.
By the way, everybody.
Would you believe Jim Fleeting was in during the week and he said, I've only scored one goal, it was a diving header against Ruffy. Honestly.
I don't remember Jim Fleeting ever scored a
He
goal.
only played 5 senior games.
And what he scored against you?
Morton.
Yeah, diving header, edge of the box. Listen, before we go on to the next topic, and of course we'll keep that going if you can think of your top tens, and we'll keep you up to date. There hasn't been a goal scored, you haven't missed anything. We're going to give you the latest scores coming up very shortly as well. We always like to have a wee treble that we keep our eye on, lads. Wraith Rovers, I picked Wraith Rovers to win at Morton. Sorry, Morton fans. Who's gone for Forfar away at Stenhousemuir?
Me, I'm afraid.
And Clyde against Arbroath. Ruffy,
yes,
you've gone for Barry Ferguson's side in our treble today. We won last week, didn't we, Ruffy?
Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
We got £17 back. No.
Yeah. Much did we win,
Put 20
Ruffy?
on,
48 £48.
48 by the way, over the season.
No such thing as a bad profit.
Would
Yes.
have been worse. You could have put all your money on Brecon the day.
That's why I don't bet. I don't.
I have to say, I hope I'm not talking out of school, Ruffy, but you look slightly different to when I saw you last night, because you were at a fancy dress party and you were dressed up as Superman and you had the six pack and everything. You had, I mean, he looked dangerous. I should have got a photograph. I should have actually taken a photograph. It was outrageous.
There are other photos you'd probably like to see, because there was a lot of people made the effort.
Yeah.
There were some wonderful outfits.
Oh, there was absolutely fantastic outfits.
We had Tomb Raider, what is
Were
it?
you Superman?
Lara Croft.
Were you
Lara
Superman?
Croft.
Were you Superman?
Yes.
Yes.
Did Batman come beat you up?
No, Batman and Robin was there.
Yeah,
They were
Batman,
there.
Catwoman, the lot. They were all there.
Peter, what were you dressed as?
Well, would you believe it? I mean, because this programme takes a lot of preparation, I know you might not think it does, but I just nipped in for an hour to say hello, because I thought it would be rude not to turn up at your pal's party.
Okay.
And
he actually
put the
thought,
quiz
he
together.
actually thought I really did know Lara Croft.
Yes. And
Were you invited to that party, Mark?
I never got in.
No, me neither.
He knows I was at dinner time. He knows I was.
to be perfectly honest with you, there was a key element there that you missed there. It was pals only.
Pals only, yes, okay.
And as Davy Provan once said to me, there are no friends in football, only acquaintances.
Good point.
But nevertheless, you looked absolutely fantastic. That's the great thing about you, Ruffy. You know, you get dressed up for these things, you don't care.
No.
You're a good man to invite to a
Yeah, it
party.
was a bit
Just look at
embarrassing.
him. Just look at him. That's hard.
It was a bit embarrassing walking about Tesco with on this morning.
That's a good point,
I just
Ruffy.
couldn't take it off. It looked so good.
Absolutely. Anyway,
It must have been a costume with a six-pack then,
He
obviously.
never even.
Yes,
He
it
never
was
had
the big.
He never had a six pack when he played.
No, I was on me. It must have been
Oh, I did. I could spoil that thing.
Yeah, I'll
I
tell
could
you
show
this.
evidence of that.
Hey,
Oh, good.
here's the great thing about a football show where you've got fans who like to remember maybe some of their heroes. Angus Ray has said to us, the ghost John White. He says, I'm slightly biased, so he's clearly a Tottenham Hotspur fan. John White was a magnificent player for Tottenham Hotspur. Am I right in thinking he was part of the last Tottenham side to win the league?
He was part of the 61 team. Yeah, that's when they won the league. Blanchflower played then, Mackay. I don't even think Jimmy Greaves was in that
No,
team.
he wasn't.
He came after.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's a good call, isn't it? Definitely a good call. So thanks for that. At Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, and we'll read out a few more of your selections. Always good bit of fun on a Saturday afternoon. Listen, there are no Premiership games today, as I'm sure you're fully aware. So a number of the newspapers, and I've been looking at the newspapers this morning, a number of them going for stories that reminisce about years gone by. 30 years since Graham Souness arrived in Glasgow and started the Ibrox Revolution. Of course, there's a book out by Jeff Holmes on this particular subject. I wonder, now even 30 years on, whether we are still feeling the after effects of Graham Souness's revolution and where it ultimately, took our country, our game in the top flight, the money that was spent, the clubs that followed suit to try and match him. Have we suffered from the fallout of that, Alan Ruff, or are we being too critical?
No, I remember to the day that we were over in Mexico, and I was sitting outside in the afternoon after we'd trained and had our lunch, and we're just sitting in the sun with Graham, and he had just got the Rangers job and he was going to be the manager. We went home and I was saying to him, what's your plans when you get back? And I was sitting there and he said, well, first thing I need is a good goalkeeper, good centre-half, good midfield player and a good striker, just the structure of the whole team. And I says, what kind of players are you looking at? And he said, we've got the boy Woods, Terry Butcher. At that moment I fell off my seat and the names he was throwing about, because the players that they had at Rangers at that particular were nowhere the ability of the players that he was talking about, and he's throwing like Ray Wilkinson's name about, and I can't remember the striker he was shouting, but it was just gobsmacking, that's what he was going to do. And true to his word, when he went back, he had it all in place and he did it. And he not only changed football with Rangers, he changed it for all the clubs, Celtic as well. When all these big players come up here, Celtic's wages went up dramatically, all the other clubs' wages went up as well, so he brought a whole new aspect to Scottish football that a lot of players benefited from.
I'll be brutally honest about it, it was to the detriment of a number of clubs.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt about it, because clubs, in order to match up, I know for a fact some of the money that I was hearing about the other clubs, the smaller clubs were spending, they're spending a lot less now on players than some of them were spending in those days, because they were trying to attract players. And it did, I tell you what the problem was for a while too, and which I thought was detrimental to our game. We did go through a spell where we started to bring in a lot more foreign players, which meant that the Scottish players weren't getting the same opportunity to play, because the money was there and teams were doing that. Okay, the football was good for a while. We had quite a bit of success in terms of even challenging in Europe and all that sort of thing. But ultimately, it's all had to change, and we cannot now, in this stage, we can't compete. In those days, we were competing with English Premier League, or the First Division it was called then, for players, because they could actually match up with wages from the English First Division, the top league. No longer can they do that.
Yeah.
I think the biggest ridiculous part of the whole thing, and the team that summed the whole ridiculous situation up, was Dundee. The players that they brought in.
Canadian people.
That was... Who was the other big boy they had up front?
For Middlesbrough.
Ravanelli it was.
Yeah.
And Craig Burley came in as well. They signed Craig Burley too.
I think a few.
How can you put Craig Burley in it with they two?
Because
Ravanelli. I know.
He was up with the money.
It was just money, was it?
It's funny you should say that, because I think a few of the players that you mentioned are still waiting on their money from particular deals. But nevertheless, it's half time. Rangers 1, Queen of the South 1. That goal from Forrester, the equaliser from Ian Russell from the penalty spot, honours even Gordon Smith between the two of them in half time.
It was funny, there was a bit of a goal scoring rampage going on there for a wee while throughout the leagues. Then in the last 10 minutes we've had nothing. But Rangers, getting the lead there, as Ruffy said, you would imagine they could have held on to that, but Queen of the South obviously got the penalty. They've scored it, and they're getting to half time. And as I say, I think they'll be feeling quite good about themselves. Going at half time, drawing. They're probably, I imagine that the manager, I think Mark Warburton's probably will be having more of a go at his players. The fact that they've lost a lead again, because that's the two home games in a row they've actually had a lead before and then
Yes.
they've given it away.
Yep, Ayr United half-time there. It's Ayr United leading by a 1-0 against Stranraer. Alan Troughton with a fantastic strike for Ian McCall's side there. So they lead by a 1-0. It's now 2-0 to Annan Athletic at Montrose. Of course, Barry Ferguson's Clyde coming out on top against Annan last week. And we will obviously bring you details from the championship match. Falkirk as well, their match against Livingston, Alloa St Mirren and Morton against Wraith Rovers. Half times coming out across the country, but Annan getting that goal there. Stenhousemuir leading by a 1-0 over Forfar. That's the latest from there. Thanks very much to everyone taking the trouble to post some messages to us on Twitter. We'll read out some of your Facebook messages too, but a lot of fun just trying to come up with those top 10 world stars of all time. And in your book there may well be a player that just sticks in your memory, like Mac has mentioned, Kenny Dalglish in his top 10. You might agree with that. I'm going to mention, just as we approach half time, we'll go into Falkirk shortly, Stephen Roach. I beg your pardon, Stephen, thank you very much for your 10 players. Some of them really, really good. And along the same lines, Messi, Zidane, Cristiano Ronaldo, Maradona, Pele, Garincha. Another man who, if you read the story on Garincha, how he even played football is amazing. Cruyff, Paolo Maldini, I think we're doing Paolo Maldini a great disservice.
We have mentioned him.
Gerd Muller and Ferenc Puskas. So there's 10 right away from Stephen Roach. So thanks to Stephen for that. We'll read out a few more and you might want to give us your thoughts on that. As half-time approaches in the Championship, Ruffy, I'm just looking, we're crying out for goals in another game. It just hasn't materialised.
No, I'm quite happy with the score at Falkirk. If it could stay that way, I'd be really pleased now that you've added John Baird another 6 games on each season. But no, you would think obviously that Livingston would be very tight in that game, but you would think Falkirk would eventually break them down, as Rangers as well. You would think Rangers in the last 10-15 minutes would have enough to get a winner in that one.
Yeah, just as I was mentioning there about the top 10 players of all time, and Will Vaulks has just hit the bar there for Falkirk. That was almost the opening goal for Falkirk. And I can tell you, it's half-time at the Falkirk Stadium. Let's go there now, Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, half time here at the Falkirk Stadium. Falkirk 0, Livingston 0. The Bairns have dominated the first half but have no goals to show for it. McHugh had a shot cleared off the line after just 10 minutes before John Baird had a great volley which was saved by McCallum. As you said, mentioned there, Vaulks just came close with a thunderbolt shot from 30 yards which skimmed the bar. But for all their dominance, for all Falkirk's dominance, Livingston could have went ahead. The cannon played in Scott Pittman, and from about 10 yards he's had a clear strike at goal, but it's a good save from Dennis Mehmet. Half time here at Falkirk Stadium. Falkirk 0, Livingston 0.
Goals in that match. It's honours even between Rangers and Queen of the South. The other 2 matches in the Championship, no goals there either. So we will obviously bring you the details in the second half of any goals that do hit the back of the net. We'll continue our chat. We're going to look at more from Scotland. We'll also discuss the Premiership as it's on hold at the moment. There's a few injury worries for Celtic. We'll get your thoughts on that when, of course, the Premiership resumes next weekend and the battle continues for the title. Are Aberdeen out of it? Some of the questions I'll be asking our panellists today. Alan Rough and Gordon Smith with Frank McAvenny as well. We'll be back with more of your tweets and more of your Facebook messages too. Join us on Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday football show. Goals in short supply in the Championship today, but elsewhere we'll bring you all the half-time scores shortly. I think Rangers against Queen of the South honours even there. Harry Forrester putting Rangers ahead. Ian Russell from the penalty spot equalising. There you have the scores from the Championship at half-time. Alloa 0, St Mirren 0, Falkirk 0, Livingston 0, Morton 0, Wraith Rovers 0, and Rangers 1, Queen of the South 1. Into League One in Scotland for the update there. Airdrieonians 0, Albion Rovers 0, Ayr United 1, Stranraer 0, Dunfermline 2, Brecon 1, Peterhead 0, Cowdenbeath 1, Stenhousemuir 1, Forfar Athletic 0. And as it stands, if that was indeed the way it finished in League One, Dunfermline would be crowned champions today. Let's look at League Two today in Scotland. Berwick Rangers 1, Elgin City 0, Clyde 1, Arbroath 0, East Fife 1, Queen's Park 1, Montrose 0, Annan Athletic 2, and Stirling Albion 1, East Stirling 0. So, Ruffy, we are focusing on the lower leagues in Scotland today, and I think of the other questions we need answered, Clyde and East Fife, how they finish up.
Yeah, I was surprised about these Fife score today. They've been on a good run just now, but I think East Fife and Clyde will be the two teams that are fighting that out for first and second. But again, Gus will be a good point if he can keep it that way, because I think the best shot he's got is the playoffs.
Yep. Okay. I have to tell you, it's the. I don't know if you're aware of this, Ruffy. It's the Hibs supporters AGM today, and they've invited all the Hibs legends over the years. You're not there. I'm just looking at that picture. What an array of talent is there for the Hibs legends. They're all Peter Cormack. Tony Higgins is there and you're not. Wow. Pat Stanton, Alec Cropley, Jackie McNamara, they're all there for it. You would have
fantastic.
Thought. Did you get an invite?
No, obviously I had other duties to come here today.
Yeah, but it would be nice just to get even an invite, Ruffy.
Yeah,
people to acknowledge that you're...
I got an invite.
Absolutely. Gordon didn't, for obvious reasons.
But when you're in their Hall of Fame, you can take it or leave it.
You're right. Yeah.
You're in Hibs Hall of Fame and the Partick Thistle Hall of Fame, is that right?
Yeah, and the Scotland one.
And the Scotland
just
one.
The three.
Just Hamilton and
I don't
Celtic to
think I
go.
was at Celtic long enough.
Is he in the PLZ Hall of Fame yet?
Oh, he's heading that way, by the way. He's doing well. Okay, if there are goals anywhere in the second half, the big kick-off coming up in the lower leagues in Scotland on the way. We'll continue to read out some of your messages if you want to interact with us. We're going to talk Dundee United. We were mentioning there about the Ibrox Revolution some 30 years ago. Sometimes if you suffer and you can't actually get to stay in the Premier League in Scotland, then you could have financial worries. And Stephen Thompson and I think the Dundee United board have highlighted that if they should drop out of the Premiership. We'll talk about that as well as some other issues, including Player of the Year and Manager of the Year. The awards are coming up very soon. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Goals in short supply across the Championship, but in League One and League Two, a few interesting questions and hopefully some answers developing over the next 45 minutes as we get ready for, indeed, the big kick-off to the second half. We kicked off what was just a great little debate. It's one of those ones when you're sitting in the pub alongside your mate or a restaurant and you just want to chat about great players, all sparked off by the sad passing of Johan Cruyff. And I love the sports writer many years ago, David Miller, who described Johan Cruyff as a Pythagoras in boots. And I think it sums him up. To many, a footballing god. Sadly, at 68, so young to pass away. But we sparked it all off with some of the top 10 players, greatest players of all time. It's all subjective. Everybody has their own favourites and they throw them in from time to time. And of course, some people like yourself, Mackie, you've thrown in Kenny Dalglish, and we have others, Johnny Weissmuller. I'm not quite sure that's his real name on Twitter, but he suggested Danny McGrain as well. You get these favourite players that you never want to miss out on. One of the other things that I really liked about Johan Cruyff that we'll debate and why he was held in such high esteem, I can tell you it's 2-1 to Rangers. Rangers have scored at the start of the second half, and Macca, did you have that?
Yes,
did you suggested that? Well, he's just looking at it here on the monitor. The replays unbelievable. He's collected a deep cross and he smashed it home into the back of the net. I'm just looking there. What a fantastic goal, Macca.
Well, any goal's good when you just come back out. The managers obviously gave them a rollicking at half time because it will be, because they're letting in goals again. And he'll be demanding that they went out and do something quickly to get the fans back aside, and that's what they've done. And he'll be delighted with that goal. Queen South will not be, because they've not got organised yet. So Rangers just went right at them and scored.
It'll be a bit of a blow for them just losing a goal so quickly, because they're probably a good half-time talk saying that we've done well, we'll go down, we've come back, we just need to keep this going. And before they know it, they're down 2-1. So
Queen South hit the bar for a free kick just before the break.
right.
So
here's another one, and again, I'm going to read this out, and then I'm going to apologise off the back of it when we're talking about world players, because now it's almost as if it's a follow-up, and it's very unkind. Danny has sent us in his top 10, and I'm not suggesting for a minute Danny's being unkind. He's just trying to emphasise which Ronaldo he's talking about.
Yeah.
And he said Zidane, the real Ronaldo, the fat Brazilian. And amazingly, that's not good. I don't want him to be known as that, because when I interviewed him in 1998, Ruffy, he was 21 years of age and he was built like that. He was just thin, pace, everything, but kicks, knee problems, ankle problems, you name it, and training problems eventually. And what a terrible thing to be known.
I know.
Terrible
But you know what?
thing.
I saw the documentary on him, and he actually did have problems after that with his weight and everything. But he still came back at times and still performed brilliantly, even though he had all these problems. So you could see that the talent was there. That's why I picked him in mind. He was a fantastically talented player.
But nobody picked Ronaldinho either, is it?
I did.
Did you pick him?
Yeah, I had Ronaldinho in there and Ronaldo.
Puskas and Di Stefano never looked lean.
Puskas wasn't. Puskas was heavy.
Heavy built guys.
I thought even when he was a bit overweight, not overweight, but he was a bit bony, I thought he was still a great player. I mean,
Ronaldo,
I mean, we're talking about someone in papers today, Paul Gascoigne, when he was heavier.
Yes.
What a player.
Yeah, superb.
I mean, what an absolute. I mean, I thought it was, to me, Paul Gascoigne was one of the best in the world in '91.
Yeah.
I thought.
I would say this to you, and again, I think it's probably it's only right and proper that I mention it, because the pictures in today's papers, it is so sad, Ruffy. When you watch a player's demise, George Best was, a similar point in his life when he needed help, and you can try. Every day is a difficult day for someone with an addiction. And Paul's pictures today are so sad. He, for me, was just a genius with the ball.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because every time we pick up a paper, we think he's on the mend, and every time he he's on the mend, you go, oh, that's great, fantastic. You know, it looks as if there's somebody looking after him, because I think that's the most important thing. Is
it's not really.
It's not. There's people,
The most important
the
thing
right
is-
people for
The most
helping him.
important thing is not helping him. He's got to want to get help himself.
Yeah.
Everyone in the world can have the best intentions and they'll want to help him, but unless Paul wants to help himself, then all the help's not going to do him any good.
Rangers have scored again.
Yep, 3-1.
3-1 Rangers.
3-1 now, Macca, and I think
that's a sad thing. Sorry about
Yeah,
that.
I mean,
I know.
Rangers scored at the time.
Yeah, I know.
Rangers have made it 3-1. That's not a sad thing, by the way, just in case we get complaints. It's 3-1 now. They are in complete control in that match. I think the points will be wrapped up, barring the greatest fight back ever from Queen of the South at Ibrox. I hope I'm not doing them a disservice. You know, there's an element of it that's right. And all I would say to you is Andy Halliday has scored that goal for Rangers. Scored the goal, just walked straight back to the centre of the pitch and said nothing to anybody, just shook their hands in case he got a yellow card. The point I was going to make to you, Macca, there's an element of it that's right, but I would suggest that there are people who know far more about it. I would suggest Alec Ray as well, who is involved heavily in the Second Chance project. I think there are people, you know, in a far better position than us who would suggest to you that some people with an addiction do need help, constant help, and there has to be that element of you have to want to do it yourself too. But I still say, regardless of it, people can you know, make mistakes, fall off, and because you're open to it every day. But we wish them the very best.
Yes, of course.
As a footballer on the park, you know, off the park, I'm sure there are issues that people are not happy with, but on the park as a footballer, there were times when I can remember in my first stint at Scottish Television, sitting in the gallery watching him against Aberdeen beat 3 players and then just curl the ball into the back of the net. It was just an unbelievable day, all about Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah, and even the game, the Scotland-England game in the European Championships as well. You know, so much ability there as well, and even in the when he lobbed it over Henry's head and then put it in the back of the net, just a touch of
It
genius.
wasn't that long ago when you were looking at the likes of Gascoigne and Laudrup and you know, and you know, Di Canio and Larson and all that for Celtic. I mean, it wasn't that long ago, Peter.
Absolutely.
And you're thinking, well, here's hoping we get some people with half that amount of talent coming back in.
Yeah, I'm just going to give you a couple of great lines that if you don't get a chance to go on any kind of social media or even on the internet, they're well worthy of mentioning about Johan Cruyff, who we were talking about earlier, Ruffy. Just some unbelievable statements that he would come out with that, you know, seems simple enough, but the way he mentioned them, you just think, oh, genius. What is speed? Speed is often confused with insight. When I start running earlier than others, I appear faster. Which is a good one. In my team, striker is the first defender and goalie is the first attacker. Which kind of sums up the ethos of the way his teams used to play. And playing football is very simple, but playing simple football is the hardest thing there is. And my favourite of them all is, if I wanted you to understand it, I would explain it better. So Cruyff at his absolute best in those little quotes. Let me get your thoughts then, guys. If we're talking about 30 years since the Souness Revolution, you know, it's also 30 years since the day when, you know, Macca, the Celtic side actually were heading towards the title under Davy Hay. As we get to the end of the season now, I think everybody, you know, certainly Hearts fans, tremendous pain in 1986. 30 years ago, they were thinking about it. Craig Levine's was part of a Hearts side. John Robertson, Gary Mackay, great Hearts side that looked as if they were going to win the title.
Well, they did, and they had it in their own. It was in their own pocket, wasn't it? Really, they just
destiny was in their own hands. You're right.
Destiny, but it was some people just freeze, and a lot of people can't handle the challenge. I mean, it's all right saying, yeah, you've just got one more game or 2 games, but pressure's a horrible thing to some people.
Yeah,
you know,
we were Celtic playing that day at St Mirren.
Accept it.
Celtic won 5, didn't they? 5-1.
Some people accept it and some people don't. I wasn't there, I was in England, so it was not me.
But it was, as you say, I mean, what an opportunity they had in their own hands to play against a decent Dundee team. Walter Kidd, I think, scored both goals that day, didn't he? But
He's outstanding.
4-1 to Rangers.
4-1 now,
Now
yeah.
it's just a rout.
That's been
A brilliant
that's
scissor kick from Halliday after a great build-up from Rangers, and now they really are turning on the style, Gordon.
Definitely, and Wraith have just gone ahead too, so that's a crucial goal in that game as well. So you're looking at two teams there who are being in form, you know, first and fourth in the league at the moment. So Rangers, that's tied that game up. That's it, finished.
Yeah, Tavernier from a Miller header back across the goal. I'm just looking there. He's just put the ball across with his head, and there's Tavernier. You know, when Tavernier's up inside the penalty box, Ruffy, you know Rangers are completely in control.
Yeah, I think the only teams that have success against Rangers are coming up with a system, you know, to stop their fullbacks getting forward. But I haven't heard his name mentioned as much as in the beginning of the season, you know, when he was
scored a lot.
regular.
Yeah.
But he's still getting up there. But I think teams, the bigger teams, when they go, they identify that that's something they have to do, stop the Rangers fullbacks getting forward.
Peter, something I was going to ask, did MD come in? Did MD manage to come up with the goal scorers in 2 World Cup finals yet?
Oh,
No.
Remember we asked the question, there's only 4 players have scored in 2 World Cup finals, and you guys got one of them, which
Yeah.
was Pelly. And Queen of South have scored to make it 4-2.
Yeah, just got to go back
That's
there.
a great game.
So, listen, 12 goals for Tavernier from fullback, Ruffy,
great.
is good going, isn't it?
Yeah, it's good going. And not only that, he might have scored 12 goals, but I'm sure he'll have a lot of assists.
Yes.
You know, he'll have a lot of good balls into the box, you know, and people will be benefiting from getting that far forward up the park.
Yeah.
Oliver scoring for Queen of the South to make it 4-2. So, well, if you pay to get into a match and you get 6 goals already,
That's
that's
entertainment.
good value, good
Yeah.
entertainment, and the Rangers fans certainly enjoying the majority of the goals. But Queen of the South are making a game of it as well for the small band of followers over on the far side. So we're keeping you right up to date. I don't think we've missed any other goal. Morton 0, Wraith 1, and suddenly, guys, our treble is starting to look good, Ruffy.
No, it's
No.
not looking that good. We've got 2
4-4.
up. We've got one team
Struggling.
who's struggling behind,
Yeah.
but still a wee bit to go yet.
Who picked Forfar?
Me, I got it wrong
All
this
right,
week.
okay. Yeah, that's
Not
fine.
yet, not
As long as I
yet.
know. Not yet. As
If
long
I
as we
don't
go.
win, I got it wrong this week.
So Gary Oliver has scored for Queen of the South after a nice little cutback from Ian Russell. Just looking good replay on that one there. So nice little cutback. So the question, Gordon, I wasn't being rude to you.
No.
Give us it again. We'll go back over it.
There's only 4 players have scored in 2 World Cup finals,
Yeah,
and one of them was Pelly. We got that one already, so we're looking for another 3.
yeah.
Is any of them from quite a far back?
What do you mean?
Before 1960.
Yeah. One of them's Zidane.
Yes, correct.
Zidane, yes.
Zidane is also, that's the second one.
Yeah.
Aye, I was there.
Yeah, I was just thinking there. Okay. And
I'll give the listener the clue. The other 2, one is Brazilian and one is German, believe it or not.
right. So one of them's Brazilian, one of them is the Brazilian one's clearly got to be a way back. Is it a Dada or a Vava
It's
or a Garincha?
Same area
It's
as
that type of-
Pelly.
Same era as Pelé
Oh,
Yeah,
Janino.
yeah.
no.
in a World Cup final.
2, he scored in 2 World Cup finals.
Right, in the same era as Pelé, from 58 to 62 to 70.
Rivelino.
No.
No.
You might have thrown the name in already, Peter. You might have actually said it.
Vava, Dada, Vava,
Vava.
Vava. Yeah.
Vava, correct. Vava's striker for Brazil.
Right,
He scored
okay.
Vava scored in 58 and 62.
Right, okay.
So
and,
you've got 3, Vava, Pelé and
got German, not
Zidane.
Miller.
You now have a German.
and it's a German, and a German in a final. Wow, that's a good one.
2 finals.
2 finals.
Most people would go for Muller, but it's not.
Yeah.
I know who it is. Reitner.
Correct.
There you
Paul
go.
Breitner.
Well done.
Yeah,
There you
well
go.
done.
That's the
Well
shout.
done, and well done
Who
to
did you
Craig
say
Turnbull as
earlier?
well.
You said a fullback earlier.
Andres Bremer.
Lisa Bremer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, Arbroath have equalised. Dick Campbell was right. It's Clyde 1, Arbroath 1 in that match now. So suddenly this coupon has gone again. See, honestly, we're terrible. We're terrible at this.
are.
Listen, let's go to Falkirk, because I'm curious to see if there's anything like a chance in that match, Craig Turnbull, to give you even a sniff of a goal.
Well, yeah, it's still Falkirk 0, Livingston 0. You can sense the frustration from the home fans. They've seen their side dominate most of the game. They still haven't been able to find that elusive opener. Blair Alston gave John Baird the best chance of the second half when he was released down the right-hand side, and Baird at the back post just couldn't direct the ball on target. But Falkirk still pushing for that opener. But so far, Livingston have held strong. It's Falkirk 0, Livingston 0.
Okay, thanks to Craig for that little update there. Airdrieonians 1, Albion Rovers 0. What do you think of Stephen Thompson's comments, Ruffy, that Dundee United, you know, obviously it's going to be, Arbroath have scored. It's Clyde 1, Arbroath 2. And now that game's turned on its head, Ruffy.
Yeah, it's amazing though that we've said it all along about that league that you can't predict it. It's crazy, some of the scores, but again, that'll be a massive blow for Clyde if they lose that one.
Yep, Mark Fitzpatrick has scored for Airdrieonians. They lead by a goal to nil. It's 3-0 to Annan in their match at Montrose as well. So the goals flying in across the country. Yeah. What do you think of the situation that was mentioned there? Flynn incidentally getting the goal for Annan Athletic to make it 3-0. Stephen Thompson and obviously the Dundee United board will be very much aware of the financial implications of dropping down a division, and what a tough division to get back out of if Dundee United do go down.
Yeah, it will be. It'll be drastic cuts there. I think Mixer, like Jim McIntyre, he'll have looked at everybody who's at the club. He'll look at the kind of player that he wants, and I'm sure that if they were to go down, there'd be a mass exodus for Dundee United, and then the Dundee United people will just have to wait and see what kind of players he's going to bring in.
It used to have it was like a conveyor belt, Dundee United. It was a bit similar to Hamilton. They kept producing all these players, but they've not done it recently. And there's a lot of players getting bought in now. I just don't know whether they should have went with some of the younger boys coming through and give them a chance, because some of these older, experienced players, they've just not done it.
Yeah, but they have done it, Frank, to the degree that they brought players through and sold quite a few. That's been the problem.
I know that, but I'm talking about now to get them to say, here, give us a bit of responsibility to the young boys.
Well, they've got a few young players even in the team just now. They are giving one or two of them a chance, I think, and I think that it'll be the senior players that will go, and they will probably go more with the younger ones if they go down, because as I say, they'll have to go down. It could be a wee bit like the St Mirren scenario again, where they go down there and find it really tough to get established, because the Championship's a tough league to be playing in, especially for teams just now, because you had big clubs like Rangers and Hibs down there with a bit more money to spend. But Dundee United might be that team. But it depends whether both Rangers and whoever, whether it's Hibs or Falkirk or Wraith Rovers go up, who else comes down with Dundee United? It could be one of the other Premier League teams, so there could be two bigger teams down in that division.
I'd be disappointed if St Mirren weren't fighting if Dundee United go down for Championship next year, because I think that's what Alec will be hoping for.
Yeah.
Forget this year.
Yeah,
Richard Little scored for Arbroath to make it 2-1. Let's have a look at the latest scores in the Championship. Alloa 0, St Mirren 0, Falkirk 0, Livingston 0, Morton 0, Wraith Rovers 1. It's Rangers 4, Queen of the South 2. In League 1, Airdrieonians 1, Albion Rovers 0. Ayr United 2, Stranraer 0, Dunfermline 2, Brecon City 1, Peterhead 0, Cowdenbeath 1, and Stenhousemuir 1, Forfar Athletic 0. And if it stays that way, then Dunfermline will be champions. Scottish League 2, Berwick Rangers 1, Elgin City 0, Clyde 1, Arbroath 2, East Fife 1, Queen's Park 1, Montrose 0, Annan Athletic 3, and Stirling Albion 1, East Stirlingshire 0. That's how it looks at the moment. Ayer's goal scored by Wardrope just after the hour there to put them 2-0 up on Stranraer. That's you with all the latest there. So from Dundee United's predicament, it's a difficult one if they drop down. But also another thing that we've been reading and talking about on the programme this week, Ruffy, is Mixu Patalainen charged with obviously answering back to the fans. I have to say we're now treading into an area which I think a lot of people have been angered by this week. We understand the responsibility of managers, but has to be a bit of give and take, a bit of common sense on this one. You know, he's taking pelters from the fans all the way through it, and then suddenly, you know, he puts his hands to his ears, gives a little bit back, and suddenly they're outraged. I think fans need to have a long, hard look at themselves and their own conduct.
Yeah, and I think from an individual point of view and a personal point of view, I think we would all agree, being in the game long enough, that everybody likes a bit of banter, and you like a wee bit coming and going with the supporters. But unfortunately, it's the rule book again. You know, if it says in the rule book, you know, if you do that, you can't punish somebody and not punish somebody else. It has to be the same across the board. And if he's seen to be getting away with it, then the next guy gets pulled up. You know, they'll just bring the same scenario up. I mean, I don't think any of us have any complaints about what happened, but if it's deemed that it incites trouble in the crowd, then he's going to get punished.
I just don't understand it. What the crowd can give you absolute pelters, and you do one thing in return, and it's just, as you say, banter. It's not offensive, it's not aggressive. It's just banter, and he's getting pulled up for it. It's ridiculous.
But
It really is
I knew
ridiculous.
he would. I mean, I remember we spoke about it when it happened, and I said he will be pulled up, because I'll tell you why. Because they want to cut out all situations where they say, okay, the fans are giving them stick, but and he was quite right. He did nothing really bad in our eyes. We see that, but because he's done it back to them, that he's seen in a position where he should not be reacting to the crowd. He shouldn't be causing anything that incites, and he should be able to just ignore it. That's the way it is. Because no, why, Frank? No, see if, because what happens is if every manager then could just say, well, I can do it, and then so what they say is, we don't want you doing this, please. We need to do something so you don't do it.
But
Nobody
without
does
the
it.
fans, there's nothing. I mean, without the fans, you can have all the money you want at clubs. Without the fans going to the grounds every week, football means nothing.
It's not the fans that's getting done, it's the manager. The
I
fans
know
aren't
that,
getting
but
any
the
trouble.
fans, you're giving them pelters, and he's having a banter with the crowd. You've got to be able to have a wee bit of come and go with the crowd.
But
Yeah.
the other thing, I think we all agree that that's the way it should be. But if you look at the reaction of the supporters when he makes that gesture, it could cause trouble. Basically, it could cause it tips them over the edge. You just see that, unfortunately, some of the people in the crowd aren't as responsible as some of the others.
But you know why? Because tell you what happens though, it's not everybody that's doing that. You can have 100 people in the crowd, Frank, giving him abuse. He turns and does it, and it's people who are not giving him any abuse that take offence to it, and they're perfectly entitled to, because he's doing it to everybody. Really.
Yeah, but to be perfectly honest, I mean, let's be blunt about it, Gordon. There are people who are waiting to be professionally offended.
Of course.
Who just want to actually turn around and think, I really want to
Because
complain
they're
about
Dundee
this.
fans, and he's a Dundee United manager.
Yeah,
of
I'm not
course.
just talking about
If it was-
Dundee fans. I'm talking about people who go,
If it was
I am
Rangers-
outraged, I want to complain about it. They're
Yes.
waiting for you
If it
to
was-
make a mistake.
I know.
They don't want it. If it was Rangers and Celtic, it would be a big problem too. If it was a Rangers manager turning to the Celtic fans doing it, it would have caused a big fuss, because they're trying to say to you, you should be above it.
The authorities should take a stand and say, here,
But
go,
he should be
go
above
and get
it.
a life.
But he should be
Go and
above
get a
it,
life.
Frank. He shouldn't be reacting to
You know,
it, should he? Do you think he should react to it?
I don't think he's done anything wrong. I don't think he's done.
Can I just say
You know, you
something
should be
to you?
above it,
If and I was speaking to someone who has been involved in the heat of battle in a Rangers Celtic match, and he said to me, had that been done at a Celtic Rangers match, and I said to him, it would have caused a real furore, and I said yes, it may well have even prompted a change to laws in the country.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying to you. If that had been a Celtic Rangers match, poof, front page, 6 pages at the back, people saying, it could have incited a riot.
It would have been. That's right. And people would have said that who weren't gesturing, they were offended, because, as Peter says, and I agree with him, there's people who just wait to be offended by things like that in order that they can get somebody else into trouble. But I still think, Frank, I don't know about you, I think if you're concentrating the game, mixed part line, you just ignore it. You just say, these people are
just a relief.
These people aren't demeaning me.
But
What's the relief in that?
But as we all probably agree that there is a time when you react to things in a situation.
Yeah.
My reaction to be was, well, I'll just do it and take the fine.
Ah.
It's a very good point. I like that from you, Ruffy.
Fine,
Yeah,
fine
I like
is going
that.
to be, it'd be worth it.
I
you
know,
know,
but-
to get back at somebody. I know you're not supposed to do it, but
Yeah.
if it's what?
But know what you're also saying? You're also telling these fans that, see, your stick you're giving me, I really do pay attention to it. Has affected me. Therefore, I'm reacting to it. They go, oh, good. That
Yeah.
means we can get him every time.
Well,
then.
you know, the funny thing is,
You know what
and I bet you right now you could, it's 4-0 to Annan against Montrose. It's a good result for Jim Chapman's side there and red hot for him. 4-0 up in that match.
They'll go back in the top 4, Peter, if they win and Queen's Park don't.
Yeah, absolutely.
And go above them.
Yep, good goal by Todd scoring there for Annan. I was going to mention to you this. I wonder if you can think of the top 5 celebrations that just have really annoyed fans. I would suggest one to you, Micah. Adebayor against Arsenal.
Oh, right, yeah.
He scored at that end and ran up that end.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know what he's doing, you know that. And that's wrong.
Yes.
Because it's like, he ran right by shoving all his teammates away.
Yeah.
He's celebrating.
about-
Did Graham Souness not do it in Turkey as well? Did
With
he
the
not?
flag?
The
He did it with a flag, didn't he?
Taking a bit. Taking a bit.
Yeah, I think we're giving it to Graham.
I think that, yeah.
Particularly
Graham's
in
takes
that
a bit
game.
of, well, I was just about to say to you, Ruffy, Graham's takes a bit of bottle in that
Yeah.
country.
But I heard, I think it was Phil Bosma come out with a reason why he did it. Somebody was been winding him up. Some owner of a club or something
Yeah.
had been winding
That's
him up.
right.
That's how he reacted.
Yeah.
What about Mourinho's celebration at Man United when he ran down the
Oh,
track?
no.
Yeah.
I preferred when he was at the side track. Man, who was he flicking? He was flicking somebody's ear. Who was it who was doing that? They were talking, and Mourinho was behind him.
Yeah.
Who was that
When he
with?
ran down
no,
the track with...
No, I think that was that not.
Pep Guardiola?
No, I think Mourinho actually put his finger in his eye.
Ah, that's right.
No, he was flicking somebody's. He
Yeah.
was flicking his ear. He was flicking somebody's ear. I can't remember.
Playing
who it was.
Barca, I think it was against Barca, you're right. It was
Was
that.
it?
Yeah, it was
He
Tito
Inter Milan-
Villanova.
He was Inter Milan manager at the time.
Yeah, and I think he's. No, I think it was Real Madrid manager. And he put his
Real Madrid.
finger in Tito Villanova's eye.
Yeah.
Not something I would advise you to
No.
do under normal circumstances. I'm just talking about. I'm just talking about celebrations that you
Yeah.
know have people maybe smiling a
Over
wee
the
bit,
top.
not necessarily. You know, I wouldn't like to see any celebration that sparks a riot.
Over the top. But as we're talking about Halliday, he scored. He made a gesture in the middle part, like, wow, go on, and you're not allowed to do that now.
No, I thought that was
That was a
harsh.
bit harsh.
ridiculous.
That
Yeah.
was harsh, I thought.
But that's
Absolutely.
when the wins have got stopped, the authorities have got to say, these people have not got a sense of humour, and you've got to say, look, they've not done nothing.
Yeah.
So when people complain, they've got to be able to say, look, okay, we took it on board and nothing happened. They don't have to go this and make a big inquiry and all that. nonsense.
Look at
It's
What they're
just-
trying to do is cut it out.
Look at this. Look at this. I've got a sheet of paper here, guys, and I'm about to write down right at this point. And if you can, and it's something that I know a lot of people have been tweeting in and mentioning as well. If you can, spare me the probabilities. Because football fans up and down the country now know about probabilities. They know about if this happens, this could happen, this. It just wastes time.
Yeah.
So I'm not really talking to you, Maka. I'm trying to
okay.
just for the benefit
It's
of
intelligent
Gordon
people.
and Ruffy. No,
I don't know why you Ruffy's in there.
Maka, that's great because you just straight to the point.
I don't know why Ruffy's in there.
Give me your right now as we're heading towards the last few games of the season. Give me the man who's going to be the overall manager of the year.
As it stands right now,
Yes,
Jim McIntyre.
Jim McIntyre for you, Ruffy. Okay, as Ayr 2, Stranraer 1. Stranraer get a goal back in that match. So Jim McIntyre for you and your player of the year, Ruffy.
Can I come back on that one?
No.
Oh, Lee Griffiths.
Lee Griffiths. Okay,
by
and
a
your young
landslide.
player,
What age?
under 23.
Oh, you have to come back to me on that one. Off the
Okay.
top of my head.
Gordon.
Yeah, I'll probably go Jim McIntyre as well.
Yeah.
I think, yeah. And Lee Griffiths. And young player is a difficult one or two. I'll think about that.
I'll go Tierney for young player.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Griffiths,
I would go with that.
Griffiths. And, yeah, Jim McIntyre, I have to give it there.
Tierney. Yeah, Tierney for me, young player.
Yes. So we're all going Jim McIntyre here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about your championship, Ruffy?
Mark Warburton.
Warburton, player of the year.
Leghorn.
And what about you, Gordon?
I would say I'll go Warburton at the moment, I think.
What happens if he wins the cup and the league?
Who?
Warburton, could that not put him into?
No, there's a championship manager and then there's an overall premiership who's the manager
Yeah.
of the year.
I'll go Warburton, and then player of the year, probably at Hibs, young midfield player,
McGinn.
McGinn.
Okay. What about you, Micah?
I would probably say to Henderson at Hibs was probably been magnificent. I
Yeah.
think he's been.
Who mentioned
outstanding.
last night on the show Henderson?
Me.
Was it you?
I think
And
he's
you've
been-
changed since last night?
Yeah.
I think he's. Because I'm saying Henderson.
It was a late
he's
night.
like, he's
He was Superman last night.
Superman,
He's
yeah.
no Superman.
Yeah, okay. Who's your manager of the year?
Warburton.
Warburton, yeah. Okay, what about League One, Ruffy?
League One.
Do you want me to tell you the teams?
No, League One. It's got to be Dunfermline. It's got to be
Yeah.
Alan Johnson
All right, Johnson.
and their goal scorer.
Yeah.
I can't pronounce
El
his
Bakturi.
name. El Bakturi.
Right, okay. I want to ask you about what about the League Two? It's a tough one.
Yeah, League Two is a very tough one. I think that, Paynes, if Barry Ferguson
Barry,
can get them promoted, I think he has to get it.
Yeah, and Des actually mentioned to us that there was a period, I think there was a manager year where Billy Reid won it.
Oh, I remember that year.
Yeah.
No, the biggest player of the year I was at Sports Writers one when I was sitting with Neil Lennon and
Now, can you
Mike
clean this
Parker.
story up a bit?
Yeah, well, clean it up a wee bit. And he'd done particularly well that year. And the manager of the year was Mixer, was it, at Kilmarnock? He'd only been in 6 months. And obviously Neil had had a couple of drinks and wasn't he too happy?
Well, I'll ask you this. My first season at Rangers, we won the treble, right? Jock Wallace was the manager. Who was manager of the year?
Was it Billy McNeil?
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
He was great that year, Billy. He was absolutely fantastic.
Great.
Micah, some of the decisions he made were
I
unbelievable.
don't care where they finished, they deserved it.
Yeah. He was Aberdeen manager at the time. Yeah.
Even better. It shows you how good a manager he is.
Yeah.
So Jock Wallace didn't get it for winning the treble.
Is that right?
It just shows you how crazy. Was that the...
It's the time of the vote to a
Yeah.
certain degree, isn't it? Because see, before when the vote was given, we'd won the League Cup, but we were in a head-to-head with Aberdeen for the league title,
Yeah.
and then we ended up playing Aberdeen in the final of the Scottish Cup too. So the vote was before.
Well, let me tell you, let's go to the Falkirk Stadium for a bit of drama. Craig Turnbull.
Oh, incredible, Peter. It's Falkirk 0, Livingston 1, 76 minutes on the clock. Jordan White has scored against his former side. Great play from Sam Stanton on the counter for Livingston. He bombed forward down the right-hand side, played the ball across, and there was White to tap home. Falkirk 0, Livingston 1.
Well, that is incredible there. That's certainly thrown the cat among the pigeons, Ruffy.
Yeah, we said, I did say beginning, I think Livingston have shown this year against the bigger sides that they are capable of causing some kind of result. I think Rangers went down, Hibs went down to them and they got draws there. So he's building a team there, I know he's got a couple of lone players as well but that is a shock for Falkirk, to beat Rangers and then come back and play a team like Livingston at home. You would expect to kick on for that. I know the game's not finished yet, but that would be, they would have expected 3 points at that game.
Well, suddenly there's a huge incentive if it finishes that way. Jordan White scoring the goal.
Yeah.
Huge incentive if it were to finish that way for Hibernian.
Oh, there's been a celebration with the Hibs fans tonight if that turns out that way, because it means they've got 3 games in hand with 6 points behind, so they've got an opportunity then to get that second spot if they can win those games. So they'll get a boost from that if it ends up that scoreline. But that is a bit of a shock, as Ruffy says. I mean, you're looking at both Alloa are not losing today. Livingston, who are now winning, who are the 2 bottom teams, are actually doing okay today. But you would expected, really, I think, Falkirk to win that game. I know Livingston have picked up a little bit, but Falkirk have been in such form. Peter Houston's been talking very positively what they can do.
Yeah.
If they lose this game today, it's a bad one, isn't it?
Well, as Ruffy says, after beating, you know, coming back from 2 down and beating Rangers 3-2, to go and get beat at home, if it finishes this way, then it's nothing short of a disaster, really, for them.
I think that, along with Peterhead as well, that would be a big shock today. Peterhead are losing to Cowdenbeath, the bottom of the league team, and Falkirk leading to the second bottom of the league team. They would be two major shocks if those results turn out to be the final scorelines.
Yeah, it's just one of those ones, Ruffy, that at the start of the programme, all through this season, I think there are more than a few results that have come in that we just say can't happen, and then all of a sudden you're left with egg in your face.
Yeah, particularly in the lower leagues. You know, I think we had somebody on and said, look, you wouldn't believe this, but in all the teams in our league, there's not anybody better than anybody else. You know, you're not confident in getting into any game, whether it's a middle of the league team or a bottom of the league team, because the players are all of equal ability. It's just how you play on the day.
Yep, and I think a lot of people suggesting great goal celebrations down through the years, and Des, our very own Des McKeown, has suggested Cantona's celebration just when he put his chest out and had a wee look around. That I just thought, I think he scored the goal against Sunderland.
Mobbed the keeper, didn't he?
You're right, Macca. Just a little chip, and then that arrogant French look as if to say, that's the norm.
Yes.
That was one of the ones I remember.
He's a big actor now. I saw him the other night.
Yeah.
A film called Salvation, I think it was. And he's in it.
Yeah.
He's a big actor in it. He was one of the.
I think in
parts in it.
height. Certainly not a big actor.
He was quite good, actually.
Was he good? Did you like him in it?
Yeah, he was very good. He got killed at the end. I really enjoyed that.
Just in case you were hoping to rent that film, there's no point now. You know how it ends. It's like it's like my nephew who said to me, "Top Gun, it's such a great movie. Disappointment when Goose dies. Why would you want to go and see that movie after that? It just spoiled the whole thing for me. Didn't bother after that."
That's a shocker as well in Titanic. That's the sighting quite early in the film.
Aye, not expecting that, are you?
People say to me, you don't realise.
You didn't know the boat was going to sink.
I didn't know that.
Oh, I'm not looking quite so bad at the moment. 4-4 all week, we're live.
Oh, Gordon, you're back in it.
I'm back in it.
Stenhousemuir 1, 4 for Athletic 1. So suddenly there might be just even the hint of a fight back there. With that keeper, I don't think it's going to do anything for our Coupon. Because I'm just not sure what's happening. Clyde need a goal. Ruffy, or the treble's gone for us for another week.
Yeah, but certainly as Clyde looks as if they're not going to. We've got Clyde, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got Clyde,
Yeah,
we've got Forfar and Wraith in our treble. Again, our treble now is just basically a warning to people for 3 games to avoid.
So it's Clyde that letting us down, really. Who chose Clyde?
I said to him this morning, I said to him, Clyde, to get beat.
Because you said that, yeah.
When I actually go into the bookies to put our bet in now, while I'm writing out my line, while I'm writing out the line of our 3 teams, everybody in the bookies sort of hang around me to see what I'm picking.
So they don't pick it?
So they don't. They actually shout to each other, what's he got?
Hope we're not going for today.
Derek Keith has sent us in a message on Facebook saying, what do you think about the English League getting rid of the other leg of a cup game? I know there was talk about it. I'd like to see that gone as well, Gordon. I'd like to see just straight 90 minutes after that penalty shootout, make it exciting.
Yeah, I agree with you, because there was a stage when a few years back, remember we'd have a lot of winter, heavy winter, and there was a lot of games that were having to be replayed. I think it was actually a year Rangers had to end up playing in the Europa League final. They had a lot of games to fit in because they'd drawn so many matches. But you speak to the SFA people and they don't like it. I'll tell you why. Because clubs want replays. It's for money. They don't want to have just one game. They want to have a match. Say they're playing one of the big clubs, they want to have them at home, and they're even quite happy at times to go and play them away. They want the money. That's why it's hard to change it.
I can see where you're coming from, but I mean, if I'm in the Partick Thistle side and I go to Ibrox and we dig out a 1 each draw, why should they get an extra 30 minutes? Advantage again with home. I think the smaller clubs should get that opportunity. Maybe not go to extra time. Maybe go straight to penalty kicks.
Well, that's the beauty of the cup, isn't it? They say the small teams have always got a chance of beating the big teams, but 9 out of 10 you'll find that if the small teams get a draw, they're going to get beat the second one, because the big teams are not going to get
shocked
do
twice
that again. So I just think it's a beauty of the cup if the small teams get a result against them.
Although
Yeah.
nothing is ever, set in stone, they don't get another chance. But more often than not, they
Yes,
don't.
yes.
Airdrieonians won, Albion Rovers won. Alistair Love scoring the equaliser for Darren Young's side there. So on a Saturday afternoon, thank you very much to each and every one of you for your tweets at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter and Facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy, especially for best celebrations, top 10 players. Excuse me, so many people mentioning, that Ronaldinho has been overlooked on a number of occasions in our top 10, easily in the top 20, Ronaldinho.
Oh, God, yes, definitely. That's it. He played with Barcelona. He was number 1 in the world, wasn't he? And I think
Yeah.
Messi was number 2 at the time.
And David Wales has also mentioned another player that is in my all-time World 11, guys, Marco van Basten.
Yeah, I mentioned him. He was a part of mine. The ones that I felt were just outside it, along with the famous players. That Milan team were unbelievable when they had Hullet, Rijkaard, Van Basten,
Yeah.
and they had Maldini, Baresi.
I say he's in my World 11. I mean, if we were picking a team in position.
position-wise.
You see how
You know?
you just rhymed off all these Dutch players
Yeah.
of that era.
Yeah.
Go on.
Well,
and there's one,
Hullet-
and one you've left.
Hullet,
out.
Rijkaard,
I
Van
think was a
Basten, Bergkamp.
fantastic player.
Hullet,
still have
Rijkaard,
the
Van
bench still.
Basten, Bergkamp are the four I was thinking. Who are you thinking of?
Ronald Koeman
Yeah, Ronald Koeman.
Koeman?
at the
Yeah.
back.
Koeman.
Maybe not
Who's
Fantastic.
Koeman?
Koeman it was.
Koeman.
It's Dutch.
Yeah.
not a
Koeman's
good. He lives in Uftenblasen. Not a good defender, Ruffy, but good going forward. You can hit a
going
30,
forward.
40 yard pass.
Fantastic.
Magnificent.
Yeah.
Yeah. Brian Murray has said, you guys picking your top 10, and Romario never get a mention.
That's good. That's a good point as well. Is another one
Yeah.
left out. I mean, it's there's that many.
There's
I mean,
that many.
I tell you who was that. We always talk about Brian Laudrup all the time. Michael Laudrup was world class.
Played against him.
It wasn't
Yeah.
different
world class. Michael Laudrup, and he is a player who everywhere he went, you listened to what the people talking about when they played along with him,
Yes.
and everything. They all rate him unbelievably highly, don't they?
Yeah.
And the other point about Michael Laudrup and Brian, just almost nauseatingly good looking. I mean, the two of them still look as if they could play right now, Ruffy. Brian Laudrup, in an interview a couple of weeks ago in Scotland, he looked sensational. He could easily have made it into our five-a-side team, Macca.
We played a charity game years and years ago. I don't know if you were the guy. It was Celtic Rangers at Ibrox for to raise money.
Oh, yeah, I
and we
played that.
didn't realise how many players they were bringing. And Danny McGrain was playing right back. Now, Danny was one of the best in the world, but no
Yes.
doubt about it. But he was up against Brian Laudrup. It just didn't work.
No, he was still quite
Yeah.
fit.
He was still quite fit. And Danny was, I don't know, what was Danny, 60 at the time or something?
Yeah.
65?
Yeah.
It just didn't work. Brian was just he was laughing and just running by him.
Yeah, are you highlighting that as if you were expecting Danny to take the ball off him at 60?
I thought it was going. No, it was such a. Even before the game, we were all laughing about it because it was such a mismatch.
Yes.
If the two of them on a level field, Danny would have given him a good game.
Well,
level
Macca,
playing
your
field.
team have scored. Alloa 0, St Mirren 1. Keith
you go.
Watson, the former Hibs player, has got the goal.
Never in doubt.
Well, it's a big goal for Alec
great
Ray
goal,
again. I mean, that could be another 3 points on the way to, what Alec's hoping to achieve this season. McMenamin has scored for Stenhousemuir. They're now 2-1 up in Forfar,
that's it.
and we are very, very close, lads, to giving it the big rip on this
Yes.
week's treble again, which is absolutely terrible. 46,117 at Ibrox today for that match against Queen of the South, Gordon Smith.
Yeah, it's a big crowd. They're getting some fantastic crowds. And it's a game that the fans would want to see because Queen of the South, as I say, are one of the teams up there. They were one of the ones that we reckon were in the challenge for the playoffs, not to win the league. And there's been some good games with them. Rangers beat them comfortably earlier in the season down in Palmerston. But today, Queen of the South fought back very well. And, Rangers now have the comfortable lead. A 2-goal lead so late in the game, they're going to get the points. So a lot of the Rangers fans would want to see this game without question.
Yeah, Hugh McCormick has said, surely you guys should mention Jimmy Johnson.
Well, I did, didn't I?
Yeah, you did, Macca, to your credit. All these players that you could think of that could
No,
enter
he was-
your top 10. But I think over and above that, I think if it's players that you've actually seen, or maybe a team that you support, you start to, sway towards them. Just be. I'm not slightly biased, Ruffy. Is that
I mean,
fair?
it's the same thing. You could put Baxter in there, couldn't you, as well?
Yeah.
Well,
I was thinking
these are
that.
great.
I mean, Jim Baxter did when England had their centenary. The big match at Wembley, Jim Baxter and Wally Henderson were both chosen.
The World 11.
For the World 11.
11, yeah.
So that was a sign in those days that they were considered world class.
Yes.
You know?
Oh,
Yep, absolutely.
4-3.
4-3,
Rangers 4, Queen of the South 3. Ruffy, did I say some 20 minutes ago about the mother of all fightbacks? This is it's just one of those days.
We actually said it was all over at 4-1.
Well, do you want me to tell you something? I'm getting my Hearts Hibs Scottish Cup tweet out because this is starting to look a bit shaky.
yeah, and although Rangers should hang on and win
He
that
will
game,
not.
that's
He will not
6
be
goals.
happy.
6 goals in 2 games.
At home?
Isn't, and 3 at Falkirk and 3...
Well, they were at home. Rangers were at home to
Aye.
Falkirk.
No, 3-2.
3-2 at Falkirk
Oh,
Stadium.
was it Falkirk?
Yeah,
Yeah, 2-0, that's right.
Last 2 games, 6 goals.
Write that down, will you, Ruffy?
6 goals. 6 goals is something.
Got my notes here.
Yeah, Mark Miller has scored that goal, just drifting in there, and I'm just looking at he just comes in 20 yards, drifts in, curls it. Fantastic goal, Mark Miller.
Yeah, you don't want to be losing 3 goals at home, with the big games that are coming up. You'll have to certainly have a look at that, because that wasn't something that was happening early on in the season at Rangers. They were winning very comfortably at home.
Yep, I can tell you there's a goal at the Falkirk Stadium. There's a goal at the Falkirk Stadium. I mean, this is drama like you would never believe today there, Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, incredible, Peter. It's Falkirk 0, Livingston 2, and it's former Hibernian on loan midfielder Sam Stanton, who has scored Livingston's second. Great play on the counter again from the Lions, and Stanton from about 18 yards out just fired the ball with his left foot beyond Dennis Mehmet in goal. No way back for the Bairns now. It's Falkirk 0, Livingston 2.
Ruffy, I didn't see that coming.
I don't think anybody at Falkirk seen it coming either. After a fantastic win against Rangers, you would have kicked on with that, and I'm sure the whole support there will be absolutely baffled by that result there today.
Yeah, and Josh Todd's got another goal there for Annan, 5-0 at Montrose. So a comprehensive gubbing, as the would say down in the pub Macca there. It's just a great result for Jim Chapman's team.
It just shows you we were talking about, Annan down there scoring all their goals, and we were talking about Falkirk scoring a few goals against Livingston. We were talking about Baird maybe getting 2 or 3, and it just shows you that, to get that result and then to get beat by Livingston, the fans must be pulling their head out. But talking back to Montrose, that's a dubbing. That is a right doing at home against Annan.
It's a good one for Annan, because I said before, puts them back in the challenge for the playoff, Peter. If Queen's Park do finish, which a good result for Queen's Park, to be fair, if they go to East Fife and get a draw, it's not a bad when you're away from home. But the thing about it is, with Annan getting that scoreline today, Annan go above them. And Berwick have scored against, so Elgin have lost today, so Elgin are losing the points today.
Yep, and it's full time. Rangers hold on, Ruffy. 4-3. It's finished there. It was a fight back that I think James Fowler will be proud of. We would like to have seen the equaliser. It didn't materialise, but in the end, James Tavernier's goal proved to be very, very crucial. And I tell you, there's a goal at the Falkirk Stadium right at the death, Craig Turnbull.
Yeah, this might not be over yet, Peter. Falkirk 1, Livingston 2. It was a corner into the box. Lee Miller headed it back in, and then there was Paul Watson to stab home to give the Bairns some sort of hope. And there's a penalty. Falkirk have just been given a penalty, Peter. It's Lee Miller that's been brought down in the box. And Nick Walsh, the referee, has pointed to the spot. Unbelievable. It was a long ball. And the defender got the wrong... I think it was Darren Cole got the wrong side of Lee Miller, and he's brought him down, and Falkirk now have a chance to incredibly get back into this game.
Who's
get
taking
a point.
it? Who's taking
It's
the
more
penalty?
likely just 2 minutes more. It looks like it might be Volks who's taking the penalty. But, no, in fact, no, I'll tell you what, no, it's Baird. Volks is went away, it's Baird that had this chance. So
Talk us through it, Craig.
Baird, yeah, he's just taking a run up to the penalty, just about the 18-yard box. He's going to go with his right foot. He steps up, he takes a shot. Oh, it's saved! And it's a save from Mark McCallum. John Baird has missed the penalty. He went for power, and McCallum just stood up straight and saved the penalty. It's still 2-1. But here's a chance now for Falkirk again. Vokes. Oh, and it's managed to be half cleared. It's still going. This is unbelievable. Ping ball in the box, and eventually the ball goes out for a goal kick. And in fact, the referee has blown the full-time whistle, Peter. It's Falkirk 1, Livingston 2. An extraordinary finish to this game. I don't know whether you want to come back to me or if you just tell you basically that Falkirk have missed the opportunity to extend the gap from third place Hibs to 9 points after a performance which, well, they dominated most of the game, but they were punished because they simply didn't take their chances. McHugh had one cleared off the line. Will Vokes had a shot hit the bar, and there was also a great chance for John Baird just before at the half time. But then Livingston came out in the second half. They were much improved, and they got goals that their second half performance deserved. Jordan White scoring on a breakaway goal, and then Sam Stanton really had Livingston in a very comfortable position with that left foot goal. But then, incredibly, with just 5 minutes remaining, Falkirk got themselves back into it, and it was Paul Watson who tapped home, and then they really should have got a share of the spoils here when John Baird had the opportunity to score from the spot after Lee Miller was brought down in the box by Darren Cole. In the end, though, Baird missed that, and with that, Falkirk's chances of extending the lead in second place have gone. But it's Livingston who take all 3 points, and they've now cut the gap to 8th place Dumbarton to just 2 points, so they're well within chance of escaping relegation. It finished here at Falkirk Stadium. Falkirk 1, Livingston 2.
Yeah, I think that's the longest we've ever listened to Craig Turnbull, even in normal life, Ruffy, because he brought us the news there, and I have to say, I don't think we'll be going back to him. We're not happy with him, Ruffy, nor Macca. John Baird from the penalty spot in the dying seconds.
Oh, but because Volk scored and he meant to take a penalty, and Bears went up and took it off him, Peter, so there'll be a discussion.
Yes.
And a change in their match for sure, because if Volk's scored a goal and he was going to take it, and your man stepped up and blew it.
Yeah, absolutely, and apologies to the Baird family, but that's exactly what happened. Congratulations to Dunfermline, they are the champions of League One. Well done to Alan Johnson, Ruffy. The Pars are heading up to the championship.
Yep, the excitement at the park will be absolutely fantastic, and as I said, they'll add something to that division. You know, the support for a start will be good, and what a competitive league that again is going to be, even though Rangers or maybe Hibs or Falkirk come out of it, but there'll be teams dropping into it, and with an addition of Dunfermline being in there, it'll be another hard one to get out.
Yep, and I think that'll be a talking point for us in the next part of the programme. Players that have had the opportunity to get that last-minute goal to salvage a point or even get a victory and failed to do so. Get your thinking caps on. Full time's coming up next. It certainly was a slow starter across 3 divisions in Scottish football, but at the end we got excitement, and Falkirk was the destination for the excitement. I'm trying to think of many a player down through the years who's had the opportunity from the penalty spot in the dying minutes to score a goal that earns their side a draw, or in some cases a victory. Well, today, Ruffy, John Baird had the chance to get an equaliser and move on to 19 goals for the season. He's blown it.
And that would have been a bonus for you in the bet that we've got. If he'd scored today, obviously we thought of all these extra games that they might have, but every one is important. Every one he misses now, the pressure's on him to score that wee bit extra. But what a dramatic end. You would have thought with a penalty kick, you know, he'd have just rolled it in, but not to be. And we all keep talking about pressures in certain games, and sometimes you just let it drop a wee bit, and you don't, you know, as confident as what you are when you're putting it in.
It's a bad defeat for Falkirk. I mean, playing against a team second bottom of the league, obviously Livingston have picked up a little bit. They're playing a bit better, Peter, but still for Falkirk with the results they've been getting. I mean, the last game beating the top of the league team, coming back from 2-0 down, and then today losing at home. I mean, their fans must be pretty annoyed about that, really.
Well, the confidence is up because they've got 3 goals, and as Gordon says, we've been 2 goals down, and they've beaten Rangers, who's going to win it, who's winning the league now, more or less. Just the confidence should have been sky high. And obviously they never scored in the first 25 minutes, so they've just been, you know, maybe trying things that they shouldn't be trying, instead of just keeping the ball and looking for a way open. That they've been trying things that they've not been doing all season, so left gaps at the back, and Livingston's took full control of it.
Yep, okay, let's get the full-time scores. Championship, first of all. Alloa 0, St Mirren 1, Falkirk 1, Livingston 2, Morton 0, Raith Rovers 1, Rangers 4, Queen of the South 3. Into League 1, Airdrieonians 1, Albion Rovers 1, Ayr United 2, Stranraer 1, Dunfermline 3, Brechin City 1, Peterhead 0, Cowdenbeath 1, Stenhousemuir 2, Forfar Athletic 1. Dunfermline are the champions of League 1. Into League 2 for the full-time scores, it's Berwick Rangers 2, Elgin City 0, Clyde 1, Arbroath 2, East Fife 1, Queen's Park 1, Montrose 0, Annan Athletic 5, and Stirling Albion 3, East Stirlingshire 0. And even in the League 2, Ruffy, suddenly East Fife have got a little bonus from Clyde slipping up.
Yeah, they certainly have. I think everybody thought East Fife with the home advantage would have won that one, as we thought Clyde as well. But again, it's that division, topsy-turvy. Annan were right out of it for a wee while, but that win today has put them back in the running again.
Okay, more reaction from the games today. We will hear from Mark Warburton on a very close call. James Fowler will give us his thoughts on losing out in a 7-goal thriller at Ibrox. Queen of the South coming close. And we'll also get reaction from the drama of the Falkirk Stadium. I wonder what Peter Houston will make of John Baird stepping up to take the penalty and missing it. Saturday football show. Congratulations to Dunfermline Athletic. They are back in the championship, heading obviously back up to where they want to be, which is in the Premiership in Scotland. But one thing at a time, one stage at a time for Alan Johnston. He's won it. They've only lost 3 league games all season, Ruffy. I think Airdrie, St Mirren and Peterhead, the only teams to actually defeat them, which is no mean feat. Of course, a lot of people will highlight the full-time aspect of it, but you still have to do the job.
Yeah, I mean, they're the stats that make you win championships, and all credit to them. I think we knew at the start of the season they were going to be strong, a lot stronger than the other teams, you know, because they've got the important results when they needed it, where the other teams like Ayr and Peterhead just couldn't get these results to hang on to them. But you know, they've won it very, very convincingly.
And the team are back on the pitch, brought on there with the ball boys waving the flags and Sammy the Tammy, which is their mascot. He stayed through thick and thin. He's managed to see off more than a few mascots, Macca. And they're the players coming onto the pitch and the manager waving to everybody. Job done.
Job done. And all credit to the boys, because, you know, everyone connected with Dunfermline were distraught when they went down divisions. They were in free fall. And so you've got to take it on the chin, and now you've got to take plaudits because they've done what they were asked, and Alan Johnston's done a great job there. He's went and done the job, got them up. Sometimes he's won games, it's not been pretty, but most of the time they played decent football, and he'll be taking them into the championship next year. He'll be confident. I'm sure Dunfermline will give him some money to bring in some players and make a push. We're saying St Mirren, maybe in a couple of other teams, you know, that's going to have a push next year.
Unbeaten in 9 with only 1 draw.
Yeah, well, they've had a great run. I mean, they've just been so consistent, and that's the main thing about it. You know, it's like, regardless of how you're playing. I mean, the early part of the season, Peter, they were scoring a barrel load of goals too. There were so many games we were looking at, they were scoring 5 and 6. And in fact, one of the games, when they played Brecon away from home earlier in the season in August, they won 6-1 away from home. So they've been banging in the goals. Ella Lagui's been tremendous for them. You know, 20 goals this season, and you know, he'll certainly be a player for them in the championship. So I think Dunfermline can come up. I think they'll challenge next year too. I think they'll be challenged to go a further stage.
Yeah, Gordon mentioned him there. 27 goals for Elbach, 2-8. Some strike rate, Ruffy.
Yeah, I think he missed part of the season, did he not? Was he not out for a long time with an injury?
I think he was.
He was out for a good while, so I'd feel all credit to him to have scored that many goals for the time that he's been in.
He's very skillful too. I mean, he's not just about putting the ball in the net. He's actually got a lot of talent, the boy, as well.
Yep, well, he scored the goals, and I think Dunfermline will be celebrating all the way through the night. There were other teams trying to make a battle of it, but I think the last couple of months, Robbie, has just been where Dunfermline's strength has stepped up.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. You get a good player pool, you know, and the confidence is high in winning games. Yeah, they've had their ups and downs as well, but they've had the ability to bounce back for the downsides, whereas the other teams have went on, like Ayr United and Peterhead, have went on like 3 games without a win, and they've been able to cash in on that.
Congratulations to Dunfermline. They are the League One champions. They'll be playing in the Championship. We'll hear from Mark Warburton coming up. We'll also hear from James Fowler, Peter Houston almost certainly, and David Hopkin as well. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. Rangers now just 2 games away from clinching the championship title after a 4-3 win over Queen of the South today. Russell, Oliver and Miller from the penalty, Russell from the penalty spot for Queen of the South, but the 4 important goals for Rangers, Forrester, O'Halloran, Halliday and Tavernier. In the end, Ruffy, Tavernier's goal proved to be the decisive one because Queen of the South were fighting back.
Yeah, we didn't think that when Rangers were winning 4-1, we didn't think there was a possibility of them getting the 2 goals. But that'll be the alarming thing for the Rangers manager, to prevent the goals that they're losing. But certainly the positive thing is they scored 4 goals, and they'll be hoping they can just shore that up in the games that are coming up ahead.
I think he'd be looking at that, wouldn't he? He'd be thinking to himself, losing the late goals to Falkirk, then today a late goals again. There'd be 2 aspects to it, whether it's a concentration thing or whether it's a fitness thing. He might be a bit worried about that.
A bit naive, Gordon, but some of the fullbacks are, Lee Wallace and Tavernier just bomb forward.
Yeah.
And sometimes the boys in midfield have got to learn when they go by them. They've got to replace. They've got to cover them.
Sit in.
They've got to sit in for them, and that's a team effort thing that he's got to work on because there's no way Tavernier and Lee Wallace are going to stop bombing forward.
No.
And it's a thing that teams can go against.
Well,
if they do that against Celtic, Celtic will just utilise that.
Sometimes that's when you need an experienced head in the middle of the park. A Barry Ferguson to just keep a hold of it, just make passes, bring people into the game. They don't seem to have that. As you say, it might just be naive. They just want to keep bombing forward and trying to get in 5 and 6 and suffer.
Yep, well, undoubtedly, if Mark Warburton in the next couple of weeks is going to watch Celtic play, someone will have been watching that game from Celtic today to look at any potential weaknesses where they can exploit it. St Johnstone were able to do it effectively earlier on in the season, but I get the feeling that Rangers tightened up and certainly were far more compact after that match, having learnt their lesson. But now, again, some of these old problems have resurfaced. But nevertheless, still a win for Rangers. Yeah,
they will be looking at that. And the Celtic had them watched against Falkirk too. I don't know whether the manager and John Collins actually, I don't know whether they stayed to the end and saw Rangers diminish a little bit in that game, whether they went away a bit early. But they'll be looking at that, 2 examples of it, saying, and when they play against Rangers, they might be taking it into account and saying, look, we need to keep going. As long as we keep playing to the very end of the game, this is a team who have virtually folded twice in 2 games in the last 2 matches in the latter part of the match. So it'll be a bit of a worry for Rangers as well as to why that's happened. And I've no doubt that Mark Warburton will be addressing that with his coaches to think, why are we losing out here? As a game, is it because we're still, as Frank's just said, are we attacking too much when we're in front, or is it because we're players that are not concentrating enough, a bit of tiredness, whatever? Who knows? But he'll certainly be a bit worried about that, I would imagine.
When they get a commanding lead, Peter, what they've got to do, and not just Rangers, any good team, when you get a commanding lead, you've got to be able to say, right, let's us win the game, let's just shut the game down and not let them play and get experienced players just keeping the ball. That's when the term comes, keep the ball. And just keep the ball and see the game out. And obviously Rangers are not doing that. They're just so young. They're so energetic. They want to get forward, but they're leaving gaps and nobody's covering into the position. So that's what the manager will be a wee bit. He'll be delighted. He'll be delighted to get a win. But he'll be a wee bit concerned about the goals that they're leaking in.
OK, Dunfermline are the League One champions and the first team in the United Kingdom to win their respective leagues. So well done to Alan Johnson and everyone at East End Park. You can interact with us at Peter and Ruffy on Twitter, facebook.com/Peter and Ruffy. If you are not out on this holiday weekend, then stick with us here. Gordon Smith, Frank McAvenny and Alan Ruff here on a Saturday afternoon on STV Edinburgh and STV Glasgow at 2 o'clock till 6 every Saturday. We're with you, bringing you all the goals and all the reaction after the games have finished. And we'll hear from the managers in those key games in the Championship, where Falkirk had the chance to actually get a last-minute equaliser from the penalty spot. But John Baird blew it from the penalty spot, much to the annoyance of only one person in this studio who was hoping he would move on to 19 goals for the bet with Ruffy. Let's have a look at that Championship table and see how it all fares now, Ruffy.
Yeah, certainly the Rangers have done everything they've had to do. It gives Hibs a chance. you know, to close that gap. But still, you know, it's winning 3 out of 3 to leapfrog Falkirk, and don't know the fixtures who they've got, but certainly that's again, it's pressure 3 games, it's pressure. Everybody knows what's at stake to get that second place.
One of them will be against Rangers, I think, one of their matches to play. But I think if you look at the table now, Peter, I figure it's the most points that Hibs can get now are 79 as the most points, and Rangers are sitting on 75. So you're more or less saying Rangers 4 points as a title.
Yeah.
A draw and a win, or next two wins, and it's all over. So we'll get one league title settled today with Dunfermline, and I think the Rangers one will be settled very quickly too.
St Mirren, Livingston, Alloa and Falkirk for Hibernian guys, before of course that Scottish Cup semi-final against Dundee United, and then right after that it's at home against Rangers, Gordon, as you mentioned.
Yeah, that would be the game, but as I say, it could be a meaningless game from Rangers' point of view, because I think the league title could be virtually sealed by then. And the Rangers' next 2 games, to be fair, they're away to Raith and then they've got Dumbarton. So the Raith one will be a tough one because Raith are in a good position. But Raith themselves, I think, more or less tidied up the playoff place today. Raith are 4th place, and nobody's going to catch Raith. So they're pretty. You wonder what Raith will be doing between now and the end of the season, how they'll be taking the games forward, because you know they might not want to be going full out because they might be resting a few players, because they'll have major games come up, because Raith will be, I think, in the first playoff game, they'll be 4th position.
Yeah, James Cragen with the 7th of the season, Macca, they're 13 points clear. They're not going to get caught now.
I wouldn't think so. Gordon's got all the stats there, and he said before it, if they win the day and the results go the other way, then they're not going to get caught in it, and there's nothing to change that now.
Well, you can have those stats as well, Macca.
No.
It's called getting up earlier.
He done it last night, I was working.
Nevertheless, Raith Rovers in that position. It's now shaping up to be an interesting battle now for the positions of 2nd, 3rd and 4th. I'm no disrespect to anyone, but Rangers got the win today, so they're edging closer. 2 more wins does it for Rangers, but it's 2nd, 3rd and 4th. How many playoff games will Hibs, Falkirk or Raith Rovers be playing? A word for St Mirren, it's another win, Ruffy, by a solitary goal at Alloa. Alec will not care how they get it, as long as they get it.
No, I think we all thought that they'd just dragged themselves away from the problems of that playoff. I think that result today just will make everybody relax a wee bit more. Maybe Alex will think he can experiment a wee bit now, see what players he wants for next year. And then it'll be up to the players to convince him that they will be there next year, because I think Alec, as we know, will want to do a lot better next year than what they did this year. They want a right good start to the season. And again, it just remains to be seen what players he brings in.
Well, I think the other key point here is Hibs, Falkirk, Morton, Dumbarton and then Rangers are the remaining games for St Mirren. So it was crucial, Gordon, that he got those points on the board in case he was actually, trying to scrape them towards the end, because there are some tough games there.
Yeah, there's some tough games, and he's done well because he has got in a position now where, if anything, I know it's not going to be equivalent to having success, but he's actually challenging now for the 5th spot, because he's up there a point behind Morton, and he's got level points with Queen of the South now. So he's done a terrific job because he's got them away from that bottom of the league scrap. There will be a fight on now. The interesting thing will be is, I know Livingston now have got a game more played than Dumbarton, but they're only 2 points behind. So there's a real battle on now. Alloa, in my opinion, are gone. I don't think Alloa are going to do anything.
No.
They're relegated. So the fight is on for that playoff place at the bottom to avoid relegation between Livingston and Dumbarton. And Livingston, they've had some good results of late, Peter, and that was a very good win for them today. And as I say, it takes them within 2 points of Dumbarton. A game more played, but I think the Livingston are fighting there now. They did it last season under Mark Burchill, and it looks like they're in a position to maybe do it again.
Yep, that would be an absolutely incredible situation there at the bottom end of the championship. What about the League One table? That, as you will see from a Dunfermline perspective, is great to see. The 72 points, which secures the title for them. Peterhead, surprise defeat today, Ruffy. To be perfectly honest with you, I don't think any of us anticipated that win there, which again for Cowdenbeath is massive.
Yeah, it certainly is, but it gives Ayr United, there's that wee glimmer of hope, of catching them. They looked as if they'd been out there for a wee while. I think the two of them will still be. I mean, the Peterhead one will be so disappointed with that one, with the form that Cowden Beath's been on, so that'll be something they'll have to sort out pretty quick.
Yep, that's how the League One table looks. Congratulations to Alan Johnson's Dunfermline, who indeed have won. No point in saying anything more than this week again. It's almost a permanent feature. We should put it in the running order. Peter tears up the treble as it slips away again, lads. We just cannot seem to pick it.
You could rip it up before the game start the way you just read it.
Isn't it great that Maka is distancing himself from us immediately? It's going to be tough to call if we can get one right before the end of the season, or we're not having an end of season party, Ruffy.
Yeah,
it's going to be hard.
Will help us out.
I'll help you.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's hope so. With some gourmet food. The Premiership will return next weekend, and we'll discuss that coming up before the end of the programme. But I can tell you, we will be able to go back to Ibrox to speak to Des McKeown. I wonder if we can go there now to hear from Des, who's been listening and watching Rangers' performance today against Queen of the South. Des, Mark Warburton happy or slightly angry after a 4-3 win?
It went out at great length to talk about his disappointment in the first half performance from Rangers. Said that there were some harsh words in the dressing room at half time. Came out with all guns blazing, got to a 4-1 position. But then, really started to look as if they were in a position where they were going to rue it because they got sloppy in possession again. He admitted that. Somebody asked him the question about, how concerned was he about the defensive frailties. He was quick to point out that, yes, 6 goals in 2 games, but prior to that there were a lot of clean sheets. And he actually, again, stated that it's not necessarily just the defence's fault. He talked about the midfield not putting enough pressure on the ball. But over the piece, I think he's delighted, and he has said, 2 wins from winning the title. That is their first objective of the season. And spoke about, asked the question about the fact that there were only 5 subs named today, and I was wondering what his reply to that would be. And he went down the line of initially of mentioning all the boys that are away with under 17s, under 19s and under 21s, but then stated that he wants to create a value in being involved. The academy are fantastic, he said. However, we don't want to put people on the bench or players on the bench who don't actually or haven't actually done enough to deserve that. So it was quite interesting, his take on the game, and indeed on the question around the 5 substitutes. But it was over the piece, he was happy, Peter.
Yeah, and on the flip side, James Fowler, was he positive about the fight back despite the fact that they've ultimately lost the game?
Yeah, James took a lot of positives out of it. He just felt that the salvo at the start of the second half, he said to his players at half time that he knew that Rangers would come out with all guns blazing, and unfortunately for Queen of the South they couldn't cope with it, but delighted that they showed enough character to get back into the game at 4-1 down with half an hour to go, or just about half an hour to go. He said he had a conversation with Gavin Skelton regarding what he should do with substitutes. Does he try and fill the midfield and take off a striker, or does he just leave it and try and get back into the game? They got back into the game, and Matt Miller went very close with a free kick late on, Peter, which took a deflection, but Wes Fotheringham get down to smother it. So 4-3 in the game, and that was without Chris Higgins, who was suspended, Derek Lyle, who was suspended, and Andy Murdoch, who couldn't play today because he is a Rangers player on loan to Queen of the South. So plenty of positives for James Fowler, but he was disappointed because he thought he could grab something today at Ibrox.
I just wonder, Des, before you go, if there was indeed anyone from Celtic there, even if you didn't spot them, do you think they would have watched on there with the Scottish Cup semi-final in mind and looked at weaknesses that have been highlighted in that back line for Rangers?
I don't think there's any doubt about that, Peter. I think no matter what Mark Warburton says, he's glossing over a number of cracks. You know, he's saying that Rob Kierlan's had a terrific season. He thinks Danny Wilson has had a good season. He feels that Wallace and Tavernier, not only from an offensive point of view but defensively, have been pretty solid for them. But if I was sitting here analysing this game on behalf of Celtic, I'd be looking at it thinking that there were goals to be had there. I think that Rangers are sloppy. They try to play too much when it's not on to play. I think they rely hugely on Halliday to build a play, but that attracts the opposition onto the game because Halliday will drop to take the ball. Dominic Ball did the same today, and at various times in the game they literally gave the ball to Queen of the South under no pressure. And I think if Ronnie Dyler had MD here today, I think that would be one of the things. If they press the ball high up the pitch, I think Celtic will create problems for the Rangers backline.
And last word on this one, which is basically Rangers 2 matches away from the championship.
Yeah, and Mark Warburton said that was the key objective of the season, and I think it's going to happen now, Peter. Whether it will happen in the next 2 games or not, we shall wait and see. It's certainly capable. Rangers are capable of that. They play Wraith Rovers away next week. They then have, the home game against Dumbarton. So that's on Tuesday, the 5th of April. 2 games that they could see them title champions of the championship. And I think somebody asked the question that, does today's performance, particularly from a defensive perspective, mean that he needs to consider bringing in other defenders in the summer? And he quite openly stated that he will be recruiting. He knows that that's an important element of the job here. Harry Forrester, I have to say, was terrific today for Rangers. Came off with about 20 minutes to go, but he was lively. Could have been given a penalty in the first 3 minutes, brought down after a kind of surging run, scored a great goal, first goal, and was always a threat. Warburton said after the game that Harry Forrester's certainly playing himself into getting the chance to get a contract at Rangers after the summer. So there's plenty for Rangers to look forward to. Yes, they could win the league in the next 2 games, and that will be what he and his players are focused on.
Yep, okay, thanks to Des McKeown there. At Ibrox for Rangers, edge it in a 7-goal thriller by 4 goals to 3. The drama at Falkirk, well, right at the death. It could have been an equaliser, it didn't materialise. Let's find out from Craig Turnbull if Peter Houston is an angry man after that 2-1 loss to Livingston. Craig?
Yeah, I think frustrated was the word to sum him up. He said that Livingston had done a number on Falkirk today. He was disappointed that they didn't play with enough tempo in the first half as they had shown in the previous game, but he's still pretty optimistic about the race for second. Says there's still plenty to play for. Hibs, though, are in the driving seat in his mind. They've still got to play each other, so that is going to be an absolute cracker.
Yeah, and what about David Hopkin on this one? I mean, he would have been nervy at the end, but what did he make of doing a number on Falkirk?
Yeah, he pretty much agreed with that synopsis. He said they came here with a game plan and it worked. It was no more than they deserved, and there's a belief around Livingston that they can stay in this league. As I mentioned before the game, they managed to produce a great escape last season, and now they're just 2 points behind Dumbarton in 8th place. They've got Alloa next week, so that's going to be an absolute crucial game for the Lions. But Hopkin was certainly pleased with what he had to see today.
And last point before you go, Craig, John Baird stepped up to take the penalty. Should he have taken it? And over and above that, was the manager critical that he missed it?
No, not at all, Peter. He was of the opinion that Baird hadn't missed a penalty all season, and it wasn't like him. He felt that the penalty wasn't actually that bad. He's went for power. It was maybe a bit too central. McCallum's made the save, but there was certainly no blame directed towards the striker. Okay, thanks to Craig Turnbull. Falkirk losing it by 2-1 against Livingston. Well, there you are. I suppose you've got to be brave, Macca, to go up and take the penalty, to have that confidence. Of
course you have. You've got to be, it takes a certain kind of character to take penalties, especially pressure penalties like that. Maybe the boy who scored, Schultz or whatever he come, maybe he was going to take it but didn't fancy it, and Baird stepped up and and he just went for power, hoping the keeper would dive one way, and the keeper just stood and it just, the power didn't mean nothing because the keeper didn't move. So, listen, you can't blame the boy. He'll be haunted with that all weekend, but it wouldn't have made any difference. You know, it's one of the situations. Livingston deserve what they've got, and as Peter Houston says, they've done a number on them.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in case any League Two fans there, let's have a look at the table there after the results today. It was a chance for Clyde to go top of the table, but in the end, Ruffy, East Fife's draw gives them a 2-point cushion.
But even saying that, Peter, you look right down to Queen's Park and they're only, 6 points behind. I mean, that's catchable. You know, if they were to go on a wee any kind of run, you know, and obviously results going whatever way, but I think any of these 5 will still think they can win that league, because if you look at the results today, obviously East Fife and Clyde, Failure and Elgin, you know, so I think if you're a manager there, you're looking at the games, you're obviously looking at the fixtures that you've got coming up, and certainly you wouldn't be thrown in the towel at this precise moment in time.
Yeah, we think Queen's Park got a very good result today, drawing up at East Fife, and yet they dropped out of the top 4. They must be a bit disappointed with that, because Annan won their game, but as Ruffy says, there's nothing in the points, so it'll change from week to week, because I say we've got another 5 or 6 games to go in that division, and they're all capable of beating each other, aren't they?
Well, that's the point that I think Barry Ferguson and Jim Chapman have consistently highlighted, is you never know what you're going to get from one week from the next, because you've got part-time players, Macca, and there are so many other outside factors that can affect their performance.
Well, you know, they're working. A lot of these boys are working, and you get them twice a week to work on them. And it must be hard for the managers. I mean, let's be honest, it's going in there, especially when you're coming to this end of the season, the good end of the season, where it's good if you're going to win the league, bad if you're fighting for relegation. But it's just one of the situations. These boys are going to work in there, and they've got nothing on their mind except football. And sometimes, you know, if you have a bad day at work, you're going to have to go and take it into the weekend, and sometimes that doesn't work. And I fancied Clyde today to beat Arbroath, because Arbroath has not been. I know they've got a new manager, Dick Campbell, but. You know, when Dick says that they were going to win, I thought he was going off. I thought he was actually lost it. You know, when he told me that. But you know, what do I know?
It's a harsh lesson to learn, Macca. When Dick tells you that he's going to win, you believe him, because he's such an infectious character. And he'll be well happy with that result tonight. And of course, when you consider he was one of the longest-serving managers in across all 4 divisions in Scotland, one of the other men, I think, who's actually taken up that title now will be like a bear with a sore head tonight, Ruffy. Peterhead's manager, Jim McInally.
Yeah, they looked as if they were running away with it, and very convincing results, 4-0, 5-0, doing really well. But again, as we keep saying, you know, in this league, if you don't perform on the day, if your big players don't perform, you're going to struggle. But he'll have to get them back together again, because they've got important games coming up as well.
They're unbeaten for about 9 games, Peterhead.
Yeah.
You know, there were 2 draws and the rest were wins, and they're playing the bottom of the league team, and that must be a real sickener, as you say, Peter. I mean, especially when they're up there challenging. I mean, they weren't going to catch them, I don't think, and they are going to be comfortably in the playoffs without doubt. But Ayr United caught them up a bit today. Ayr United got within 4 points of them, so Ayr got a good result against a more difficult opposition in Stranraer than Peterhead had up at home, and losing. I mean, because you think about the Cowdenbeath, it must have been some journey for those guys away up there as well for that game, and yet, you know, they've got a very good result.
Yep, absolutely. Okay, that's how the lower leagues have ended up. We'll go back over all the full-time scores before we finish the programme today. Just incidentally, a story that's coming out and a scoreline that's coming out that I think will please Harry Redknapp. In his first game as manager of Jordan, it's ended in an 8-0 win over Bangladesh. He certainly started off with some good quotes for his pre-match ahead of this one, but if you can back it up with an 8-0 win, you know Harry better than most, Macca.
Listen, he's different class, and what he's done, he's infectious. He's went to Derby, and he's the backroom staff there, and he's just turned it. They're all playing well again, and he's went over there. And I think England have lost out on a good manager. I think he should have been England manager.
Yeah.
Oh, easily. I mean, no disrespect to the man that's in and out, but God, you want to play for someone that's like Harry, don't you? Yeah. As a player, I would want to play for somebody like Harry Redknapp, you know, and just go and enjoy your football, and because the ethos of the game down there, he's not getting a job, and you know, I just don't understand. I just think the manager that's in at the moment is not good enough to get them through. I don't think he'll get through the group.
Well,
stage,
it's
to be
funny.
honest with you.
It's funny you saying that. I mean, we're talking about in the first half of this programme about Ruffy, all the players that we were craving central defence. You know, midfield we're happy with, looking for goal scorers. I look at the team that Roy Hodgson is putting out against Germany. There's a lot of young talent there that he's got at his disposal. Dele Alli's going to be there. Harry Kane is a goal scorer as well. And we're not even talking about guys like Rooney, and they're talking about Rooney not even getting a starting position in this side.
I think we were at the Scotland-England game at Parkhead, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we were way behind them. I mean, they were fitter, they were faster, they had more skill, they had more about them than us. Okay, we got a goal, but I just thought they were miles ahead. And these players are now a year down the line. You know, these players are now playing. Most of them are playing for the first team and doing well. You've mentioned a lot of them there, and you've got Wiltshire will be coming back. I mean, the boy Sturridge. I mean, better players than what we've got.
I think England are getting stronger. I do. I think they'll be. I think they'll be challenging this summer.
But the manager is not going to play these guys when it comes to the it's a bit like
He might, though.
Strachan.
He might.
He's not strong enough. Trust me.
Yeah.
Hodgson's is not strong. Hodgson's not strong enough to pick all these players. He's not going to drop Rooney. He's not going to drop these big players. There's no chance he'll do it.
Well, I have to say though, he's got players there. I don't see them winning the World Cup, but I definitely see them getting out of the group stage, Gordon.
Yeah.
You know, on the basis that you've got a lot of really talented players. The other thing we talk about with levels with Scotland, you know, Gordon Strachan has players that are playing at a certain level. These guys, most of them now are battling in the top end for the Premier League and Champions League football.
Correct. That's the whole point about it, and that's why I think tonight will be a good test. They're playing Germany tonight, and I think it'll be a good test. They're away from home, and you know, I think they can beat Germany tonight.
He's so stuck he's just so stuck in his own way.
Yeah.
He just won't change. He'll go for the tried and tested. And unlike Scotland, the tried and tested at England are not good enough. They're good enough to get to there, but that's unfortunate down in England for not to do with us. But they think they should go and win every tournament they're in.
Yeah.
And we just want to get there, and it's a big difference. I don't think Gordon will go away for the tried and tested, and I don't think Roy Hodgson will either. So somebody like Harry Redknapp would have brought these boys in and says, "There, on you go, boys. Go and fill your boots."
Well, I'm looking at their team, Ruffy, that they're going to put out tonight, plus all the players that you mentioned are going to come back. You know, you've got Smalling, Cahill, Klein, Rose, Dyer, Henderson, Welbeck, Dele Alli, Lallana, Kane, and there are other more experienced ones that are still to come back in. So at least they've got a squad and another squad that we would love Gordon Strachan to have available.
Yeah, well, at the start of your show, we were talking about Fletcher, McCormick, strikers. Just mentioned 4 strikers there that we would die for.
Yeah.
Die for, and it would give Gordon Strachan the problem with the quality of the strikers they've got to do, possibly, as Frank keeps saying, play with 2 strikers. When you've got 2 strikers that they've got, you maybe have the ability to do that.
Yeah.
To go ahead, be more up front with 2 strikers.
Just before we hit the break, Gordon, I always get worried when I hear, no disrespect to Robert Snodgrass, but the incentive is to shut England up. We're going to have to bridge that gap pretty quickly before we get to the qualifiers with them.
Yeah, absolutely. Because as Ruffy said, I mean, the last game we played against England, there was a class gulf there. Yeah. There's no doubt about it. And England are developing more players than we are too. Because you've made the point, Peter, about where they play, and they're playing at the highest level. So I think there is a problem, and it's about we've got to compete there. I think we're fighting in this World Cup group for second spot.
But the thing is, there's going to be a gulf between Scotland and England when they would come up to play them.
Yeah.
But it just depends how we go set about it. We can get in about them and put them off their game. Stranger things have happened. There will be a gulf in the teams, but Scotland can go and beat them. You've just seen it. I don't think they will. But
Maka.
they can, and I'm hopeful, and everyone else in Scotland's hopeful.
Maka, I'm not going to be a doubting Thomas at this moment with you, but if it happens, I feel Ruffy and I could be on a wee bet with you closer to the time. Anyway, we're going to have a word with Maka in this break, and we'll see if he's still in that chair by the time we come back, and we'll bring you all the full-time scores in the divisions again. Take care. Bye. Welcome back to Peter and Ruffy's Saturday Football Show. What an afternoon. 4 hours, football, goals, chat, opinion. Of course, our top 10 greatest ever players, and that caused a stir as well and an argument. Some great celebrations for goals we were remembering as well. And of course, we didn't get a chance to get to Des McKeown's top 10 greatest players because there was a connection, a little technical problem at Ibrox. And I have to say, having looked at his top 10, Ruffy, it's probably a godsend for us that there was a technical problem at Ibrox. He doesn't even have Cruyff in his top 10.
No, he doesn't, but all fairness to him, he's got most of the players that we picked as well. But I think Des was go along, it was a different era that he never actually saw Cruyff play.
Yeah,
so.
absolutely. Ronaldinho, Messi, Maradona, Van Basten, Zidane, Baresi, Maldini, Ronaldo from Brazil. Do you see what I did there, Ruffy? You see, Cristiano Ronaldo, Ronaldinho, Zidane and Platini. No Cruyff. I'm not having it.
Nah, I'm not having it. Can't have that.
Roughy.
No, I'm
Especially
not
this
having
week.
that
This
either.
is what we're all about.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not.
But nevertheless, all about opinions. And Des has these players that he's seen. I think he actually tried to sneak Kenny Dalglish in, but Gordon was having none of it.
Well, Kenny was in mine, so
Yeah.
he's good players.
Yeah, he's in.
He's in. He's in.
In your,
He's in, he's in. But he didn't have
He's in.
Pele or Cruyff are two players that have to be in any
I know,
top 10.
any top 10. Yeah, you're right.
Pele
Yes.
and Cruyff.
And I think we're doing a disservice if we don't have the two Ronaldos in.
Yeah.
Well, you know, as we say, there's 6 or 7 that everybody picks for the top 10. Then you've got
And then
that
it's an
3 or
argument.
4
Yeah.
with an
Yeah.
argument, but
Just before we
This is just stupid.
go back over all the scores, the full-time results from today, the games next week, suddenly Celtic have Hearts at home, Ruffy. Aberdeen play 24 hours later against Hamilton Accies at Pittodrie. So next week, of course, the big blow for Celtic is suddenly Jose Sumanovic is out for the rest of the season.
Yeah, it's been an unfortunate one for Celtic. They've had a lot of big buys who haven't been available. You know, initially, you know, they've been injured.
Yeah.
They've been, you know, they've not came to the club, you know, ready to play. They've had to sort of wait until they fit in. And he was a big one because everybody, with the 2 centre halves that Celtic lost at the beginning of the season, they were hoping with the money they'd spent, he would come in, be a solid part of that new back four. But again, it hasn't happened. So they're still chopping and changing, and that's a problem for them as well.
And, you know, suddenly there's a story that I read today that caught me by surprise. Suddenly Stefan Johansson's been battling against a chronic hip problem. If you are getting criticised week in, week out, suddenly, you know, you actually highlight the problem that you're playing through the pain barrier.
Yeah.
Surely, Gordon, you don't wait till the tail end of the season.
No, exactly. And, you know, you wonder whether you should be getting considered if you've got a hip problem and it's causing you problems. If you've got a hip problem but you can get by without it, then fine. But if your form's also poor, as it's been for a lot of the time, that you would think as the manager would be looking at it and saying, I need to rest you a bit more and not play
I don't
you.
know. I've seen him playing. He's been running about like the same as what he always does. Only this season he's been running about and he's just been bad touch, bad vision. That's nothing to do with his hip.
No.
That's got nothing at all to do with his hip.
Okay, let's go back over all the scores, and I apologise to John Campbell. I said, he said, Peter, if England win the World Cup, I'll be calling the police, as it's the European Championships they're playing in the tournament this summer. Yes, I was slightly mixed up with the fact that we're playing them in World Cup
In the World Cup,
qualifiers.
yeah.
But you're
I thought that's
absolutely
what you
right,
meant.
John.
I actually thought that's what you meant when you said it. I didn't know you were talking about the summer.
But listen, you know, if I give it out, I've
Yeah,
got to be
go
able to
ahead,
take
you've
one
got
back,
to.
Macca.
got
So
to, yeah.
As long as
thanks.
you don't start mounting gestures and that to the people.
No danger. I would do that.
Just keep.
I
don't
just
lose
want to
it.
say right now, you know, thanks, John, for doing that, by the way, just mentioning my problem. So, the European Championships, I don't see them. I can see them qualifying out of the group. I don't see them winning the European Championships. Do you, Macca?
No, I don't.
No?
I just don't know. Not with the manager. I don't think it would.
But just the manager.
I think they've got great players there, and I think somebody, as I said earlier, Harry Redknapp, somebody could have moulded the quality that they've got into doing more. They should be doing more than what they're doing.
I think it's difficult to select this year who's going to win European Championships. I don't think there is a really outstanding nation you would think who's frightening MD. I don't.
No.
I think there's I think there's a parity there between all the nations. I think they're all capable of beating each other. And I'm thinking back to the one when Greece won it. You think that was it 2004, was it, when Greece won it? And who would ever have thought that they could actually win a European Championship? But there's always a potential. I think France are a very good team.
Yes.
I think, and they're the home nation, so I
If
think.
you get injuries sorted out, I think Belgium could be.
Yeah, isn't that amazing, Ruffy? None of us are mentioning Spain now because that golden generation
Yeah,
is
well,
now
Gone.
just
I think-
going over the hill.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that's what the point Gordon's making. Even Italy as well. You
Yeah.
know, don't have the big stars that they had. You know,
Germany have slipped
Germany.
back a bit
Well, we
since
played
winning the World
Germany.
Cup.
Yep, and Holland. You know, these big powers. You
Yeah.
think that, but I think England will get to the quarterfinals at least.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay.
I do as well.
You too?
Yeah, I think England will be one of the teams that will be hard to beat.
I might not disagree with you on that. I think they'll definitely get out of the group stages anyway, but I just wish we were there, to be perfectly honest with you. Denmark, again, we're going to see it. We started the programme talking about Scotland. Just briefly on that, Ruffy, who's going to excite you that you're looking forward to seeing in this game against Denmark?
Lee Griffiths.
Yeah.
I think Lee Griffiths, we all want to see if he can make that step. We're all hoping he can make that step because, as far as I'm concerned, that's what we need. We need somebody with a bit of panache. You know, the last time we had somebody not like him, was near enough him, was James McFadden. And I remember back to when James McFadden used to play as a lone striker and used to win games single-handedly. Yeah, and I remember him taking it upon himself, and everybody was, just give him the ball, just give him it and let him do something special. And I don't think we've had anybody like that.
Do you think Lee Griffiths is in that mould, Gordon Smith?
Yeah, I think we need to see what he can do because we are the two positions. I think we really need to look for the out-and-out player that's going to take that position. I think McCormack's done enough during the week there to really challenge for it, and I think Griffiths is his rival for that position. I think there'll only be one striker, but centre half's the one I'm looking to see. Maybe even the whole back four, Peter, because I think that in this campaign we've got coming up, we need to get that sorted. We need to know that we're strong at the back. Otherwise, we'll give away goals and lose games we shouldn't.
Yeah, OK, let's go back over the full-time results from today in the Championship. Alloa 0, St Mirren 1, Falkirk 1, Livingston 2, Morton 0, Wraith Rovers 1, and Rangers 4, Queen of the South 3. 2 more games and Rangers will have the title in the bag. Here's the table to confirm that. And also at the bottom end, if Alloa lose to Livingston in their next game, they will officially be relegated. So there's the Championship for you. It's still tight there. Let's go to League One. And the scores today: Airdrieonians 1, Albion Rovers 1, Ayr United 2, Stranraer 1, Dunfermline 3, Brecon City 1, Peterhead 0, Cowdenbeath 1, and Stenhousemuir 2, Forfar 1. Dunfermline, Ruffy, are the champions.
Yep, I think there'll be great celebrations there. I was watching the screen. I was watching the screen when you were doing thing with that. And I'm looking and going, are they? Of course they are.
That's great.
There'll be wonderful celebrations there. I think there'll be a big crowd as well. And I think all credit to everybody at Dunfermline because they were in financial trouble as well.
Do you know what, Ruffy? You reminded me of an old Spitting Image programme where John Gielgud had fallen asleep and a shepherd's stick came out just to push him, just to get him back with us again. Are you okay? You've had such a great party last night. Absolutely. You had a big party last night. You were dressed as a superhero, and clearly you're Clark Kent today because it's wearing off you.
I was looking at the screen there while you were talking. I didn't know you were directly looking at me. No, but you're right. And to win a league,
always right.
to win a league this early is fantastic.
Yeah,
Pressure's
absolutely.
off you can relax.
Brilliant the way you managed to dig yourself out there, Ruffy. Let's look at League Two and possibly ask someone else a question. Berwick Rangers 2, Elgin City 0, Clyde 1, Arbroath 2, East Fife 1, Queen's Park 1, Montrose 0, Annan Athletic 5, and Stirling Albion 3, East Stirling 0. And Gordon Smith, Clyde missed a trick today.
Oh, I certainly did. I mean, but I still think you get 5 teams there fighting basically for the league title, and it's amazing. Only 4 of them are going to be in the playoff position too. So Clyde, a bad defeat for them, but Queen's Park, give them credit. They dropped out of the top 4, and yet they still managed to get a very good result up against East Fife. So you have to say that I think there's a lot to play for in that league. It's been a very exciting league all season.
It has indeed. I've certainly enjoyed this afternoon's programme. We may not have had as many leagues to talk about, but we get round quite a few topics of discussion. And the one that was the overriding one that started it all off for us was the loss of a world-class player. It's as simple as that, Ruffy. Johan Cruyff was an absolute joy to watch. The Cruyff turn. You've got a bit of skill named after you. Does it get any better, Ruffy?
No, it doesn't. And we keep talking about players like that getting into big tournaments, and you want to turn on the telly, you want to make sure you're in your seat to see them because you know something special is going to happen, and he certainly lived up to the billing.
Yeah, and as a player, it's it's great when you're talked about as a legend but as a manager as well.
Yeah, it was on and off the field. The guy was of a highest quality, and as I say, already in my what I was told was already heading for that right away as a player. He was very, very clever on the field. He could see the pattern of play, what should be done. So he's a great loss, and sympathy to his family.
Yeah, and even in the latter years when you played against him, Macca still had the magic.
Still had the magic, but it was one of the players. I don't know any other player that could run as fast with the ball at his feet. And he was like, it was somebody said, and it's a quote used for many things, poetry in motion. That was Cruyff.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't think of a better way to sum him up. If you are a young kid and you get a chance, just put in Johan Cruyff's name and you'll see some of those great little highlights of his skill. He was like a gazelle running, as Macca said, poetry in motion with the ball at his feet. World class. An overused phrase, but certainly not with Johan Cruyff in mind. Good day of football today. Join us on Tuesday for the football show at 7 if you can. Good night.